Yo, welcome everybody to the second episode of Weekend at Outlaws. We might be changing it to Weekend at Rocha's. We're just kicking around a bunch of ideas, or this might be the last episode of this show. I have no idea. This is such a weird thing that we've put together. Last week we tried it. I think it was a little too early in the day. We were kind of stepping on the Team Action People's stream. So we thought we'd move it a little bit later in the night. So thank you to all of you who are joining us here live. I am the Outlaw John Rocha, and I'm very excited to welcome back to the show. She debuted on the show last week. She made her appearance on the show in the debut episode last week. She's back again for the second episode. That is Video Drew. How are you, Video Drew?
Great. I love the wording of that. I love that. I feel like day 400 in quarantine, and we've all gotten to Video Drew levels of like overthinking.
Yeah, there are some moments and some days that honestly I'm just like lost in whatever's happening. Even today, I had pockets of time to work on stuff, but all I did was fill it with working on stuff instead of going for a walk or something like that. So it was crazy. Tomorrow I'm doing nothing. So tomorrow I'm chilling out. How was your day? What did you do today?
Well, I went to Beverly Hills today. I went to a pharmacy. It was a pharmacy that I went to when I lived in Los Angeles. It's like one of these doctor places. But I just had this assumption. I was like, they're still going to have the masks, and they're going to have the gloves, and they're going to. Oh, yeah. Because today was the day that I started to, I think, take it even more seriously. No, I've been taking it pretty seriously, but I am also living in a garage. So like there's a level of seriousness that I'm taking it while also it not being a reality. This week, obviously, things have hit a lot harder. Like there's been deaths. I think we were texting while when we found out the young man who played the younger version of the Flash on CW's The Flash just passed away. He was 16. So not to start on a bummer note, but I bought myself a bunch of gloves and masks and something I thought you would like. This isn't like me shilling. I just think you'd like it. This have you seen these before? These little oxygen.
Let me see. No,
they're pretty awesome. I've used them before. I have panic attacks where I feel like I can't breathe, and it just so happens that mimics the symptoms of feeling like you can't breathe, and then you want to go to the hospital to get sick with all the other sick people. So this is just like a little. You put it over your face and you do a little.
Wow.
Sort of like Dennis Hopper in Blue Velvet, except it's just oxygen, and it opens up your chest and it makes you feel a lot better. At least me, anyway.
Would you what brought it on? Did you use it before and then you saw it? You're like, oh, I'm gonna go get it, or did you go there purposely to get that?
Well, I went there to get prescriptions refilled because I was like, this is not a time to run out of antidepressants or other medication. Right. And I'm very lucky in the sense that I just still have the doctor that I had when I moved to LA, I had when I moved from LA. So I just kept the same doctor. And so I went and got the prescriptions. Beverly Hills was like a ghost town, but this pharmacy is very shishi and boutique and has all the fancy face creams, and they just got into the paper masks, and they were 5 for $25 or something like that. So I bought $100 worth of masks only to then find out we're not doing the paper masks anymore. So that was cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, today my girlfriend came back from San Diego, and her sister works in the medical field, and she came back with a bunch of masks for us to use. So we're going to be using those masks throughout while we go out, because now it's they say it's voluntary, but it certainly feels like it's mandatory. And I went over to Target this evening to just get some stuff and get her a little bit of a gift and things of that nature, like a small gift to add to the other stuff I've already got her. And it was like The Walking Dead. People were just on top of each other. And
don't do that. Don't do that.
And people were walking around the masks, having conversation with themselves. And it was really strange. People came out of the house looking like they hadn't showered in days. And I just I can't be around this shit. This is what I grew up in when I was poor, growing up in Virginia, and we didn't have a car for 2 years. And anytime I get into a store or a place where it looks super poor or super poverty stricken, I got to run from it, because it reminds me of when that time, and I hated so much when we were poor. So I almost had a panic attack in the Target from people just being on top of each other and looking like they hadn't washed, and these masks looked like dirty and stuff. I wanted to run screaming out of that damn place.
It's literally like that scene. It's like literally like that scene in Contagion where Matt Damon's in the grocery store and brings his daughter, and then like somebody coughs on some food, and he's like, like back her up. It's ironic because I have the opposite thing. I've always had the 28 day later effect, where department stores and like the janky like Walmart's, Walgreens, Rite Aid, Duane Reade, CVS, they calm me down. Because being in them, I feel like I can ride out. I've always felt like I think I said before, that I was going to live through a pandemic. And I've always just assumed I would live one out Dawn of the Dead style in like a big box chain store. However, I don't know how that would go against my like total agoraphobia that already existed in fear of large crowds. So Beverly Hills was a ghost town. I know that everyone likes to do their shopping around this time. Me and Eric have actually figured out a pretty great schedule that I guess was already our like nocturnal patterns, where we just go to bed at 8 a.m. And then we sleep till like 2 p.m. And then we just, we kind of have like the opposite sleep of everyone else. So that's actually been that works well. That keeps us out of like everyone's way.
Yeah. I live in Beverly Hills. And so when I roll through, like I rolled through there today as well. And you're right. It is a ghost town now here. And it's like insane how quiet it is, and getting from place to place is easier and everything like that here, because it's so drama filled when you live here, trying to get anywhere around the city and around here in Beverly Hills. So to see it be that way is pretty incredible overall. That's for sure.
I mean, I'm very happy to be here and not in New York. Not like this is going to be the whole top of the show, but how can you not talk about it? Like I hate talking about world events, but like, how can we not talk about it? It's literally, this is one of the things we're maybe going to discuss, is like, it's now officially more interesting than TV narratives and movie narratives. Like there's nothing more riveting than this fucking thing that we're going through. It's like some endgame stuff. So it's really hard to pay attention to any show or film that the stakes are less than total annihilation.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're going to get into all of that because Drew and I have two different approaches to this thing. She's having a hard time connecting to the pop culture stuff, and I am not in that space just yet. I'm more wondering about what's the result is going to be down the road. That's more what I'm focused on right now. But I totally understand that I'm sure there's a lot of you who are watching or listening to us right now who are like having a hard time connecting with the idea of movies or pop culture or anything like that, because you're so worried about, the numbers that are coming through. But we want to do the show to kind of just entertain you, have a little fun, go off kilter, but we'll occasionally talk about the stuff as well. But we got a lot to navigate tonight that we want to talk about and get through. And one of the big, and we definitely want to tell you that the Streamlabs and the Super Chats, all that is up, and we'll be stopping occasionally to read those Streamlabs and the Super Chats. So if you've ever wanted to ask anything of Drew or ask anything of me, please send that stuff in as we go along, and we'll stop occasionally, periodically after certain subjects and read those out for everybody.
Yes, and I have two computers, and I can see like the screen of zero of which. So please send in the Super Chats so we can put it on the big screen and I can see your comments. Because right now I'm staring at a camera, not you. Like that, you're over here. There's two screens. Okay.
Right. Well, this one's from Larry Lease. This is Old Man Rocha. How goes your night? Love your channel, dude. So very nice of Larry Lease to send that in. It's very kind of him.
Hey, thanks,
Larry. Appreciate that.
Which Target, by the way, was it Glendale?
Oh, the one in La Brea. No, because I live in Beverly Hills. I'm not going to go to Glendale. So I drove over to the one on La Brea because the city Target that's close here, I think that's a small Target. And so they don't have as many things. I thought the bigger Target would be the way to go. But they have taken out like a crap ton of the stands and the areas in the Target itself. So it looks like a smaller Target within a larger building. So it's a very weird experience.
I'm going to tell you, here, just like a pro tip, like go into those boutique Beverly Hills shishi place, especially because those are the people that are getting catered to right now. Like even though they're still dying, this disease doesn't seem to be taking any, doesn't seem to be taking class into account here. Those places are still open. I was able to buy face masks and all the things. The only thing they didn't have was toilet paper. Yeah, everything. Right. Because they cater to like literally on Melrose Strip. Not Melrose.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
there's totally nothing. Like I tried to go. I mean, I have to sneak out to. There's a Target all the way down in Culver City.
I know that one.
That's the one I go to in the morning. I'm able to get whatever I need when I go to that one. So, and just like the Trader Joe's in West Hollywood, that's the one I go to when I want to get food. We go on Saturday morning, and they have the line but they always have a crap ton of food. They always have a lot of food in that Trader Joe's there on Santa Monica Boulevard in West Hollywood. So you just have to stand in line for a little bit. And once you get in there, you're only one of 5 or 6 people in the store, and all the shelves are full of food. So you can take your time. And it's great.
I mean, that's, it's weird. My sister who's in New York, I'm from New York. I'm like literally a refugee in LA right now. And but she says the bodegas are still open over there. She says you can go buy toilet paper. Oh, wow. I mean, New York seems like so scary. I'm so worried about her and for my family who's on the East Coast. Right. I was really happy to hear I called my ex-husband on his birthday, which was like 2 days ago. And turns out he had the same sort of weird Jewish epigenetic impulse that I did to like get out of town 2.5 weeks ago. So he's actually staying 10 minutes away from here, like in the East Coast office for NBC. Wow. So that turned out to be cool. But yeah, it's crazy time.
Yeah. We got a super chat in here from Adam Jimenez. Says, Video Drew, please get Rocha on the David Lynch train. Much love to both of you.
I feel like
good luck.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen. You were definitely around when Eraserhead came out. I'm not gonna make Rocha old jokes, but I'm sure you.
Yeah, but and that was not my cup. I walked out of Eraserhead. That is just not my cup of tea. But I did see. I've seen what's the one with Melanie Griffith? Isn't that David Lynch or no?
No, you're thinking of True Romance. No, Melanie Griffith. You're thinking of Patricia Arquette in Lost Highway. That's his least accessible one. Yeah. No,
something wild. That's Melanie.
Wild at Heart, Laura Dern.
That's Laura Dern and Nicolas Cage. But that's not David Lynch. I thought that was David Lynch.
It is David Lynch. Yeah. It's just kind of
that's the one I like.
Patricia Arquette is in True Romance, which has a very similar kind of feel with Christian Slater. Yeah. Those two movies are kind of similar in tone, except Wild at Heart you can't find anywhere, and it is a wacky banana pants movie.
That's an awesome film. I enjoyed that. It is
awesome. Did you not see Mulholland Drive or Blue Velvet or?
Oh God, I can't. Mulholland Drive bored me to tears. Blue Velvet, I liked Blue Velvet, but it's also really wonky. And I never was into Twin Peaks. I didn't like Twin Peaks either. It wasn't my jam. God. So I think you and I are just two different people when it comes to this particular area of entertainment. I'm just not into that kind of stuff. And I liked Straight Story.
Really? That's your favorite David Lynch is The Straight Story?
No, I didn't say his favorite. I said I enjoyed it. It's I think Wild at Heart is still my favorite David Lynch.
Wild at Heart is can I be honest? That's besides Fire Walk with Me, the Twin Peaks prequel that famously tanked in theaters, but if you watch is a devastating it's his scariest film because it really is just about I don't want to say what it's about, but it's about familial relations and the family dynamic being very, very, very upsetting in a way that the show was quite metaphorical about. And this is very literal. And I think that's my favorite of his movies just because of how the sheer terror it invokes is visceral and it's different than a lot of things you feel in movies. But Wild at Heart is my right up there with it. I always forget that he directed The Elephant Man. That's one of my favorites. The John Hurt.
That's a good film.
Well, I think I said last time, David Foster Wallace had this great quote when he profiled David Lynch on the set of Lost Highway. I think, he was the last person to ever do a huge profile. And he said, David Lynch makes the terrifying mundane and the mundane terrifying, which is something that I feel like if you didn't get before the apocalypse, you certainly understand now how something can be both mundane and terrifying at the exact same second. That's it's a feeling and we're all living through it. So if you want some pop culture that reflects the accurate dread of nothing happening, but it being really scary, that's where you go.
Yeah, I agree. I don't disagree with you on that one. Let's say hi to some people who are in here right now. We've got about 60, 65 of you on here. Wiley Todd's rolling in here. Suge Knight's in here. Weston Iro's in here. Larry Lease, Suge. Haskell 420. Marie Zambano, hello. Good to see you again. Slen 182 is up in here. Let's see, we got some J-Dog's in here. First into midnight on the East Coast version of Weekend at Outlaws. Nice. King Sport Cal. Yeah, stay safe, J-Dog. You and your brother Nate Dogg as well. Sean Baratow is in this. Chris Scorpio, what's up?
Chris Scorpio.
He's sending some love to Video Drew. Rob Catanacci is in here. Let's see if there's anyone. Oh, Thunder God Cairo 770 is rolling through here. Do MT3CH. I don't know what that means.
I see Manny Gonzalez. Manny Gonzalez is up in here. Yeah.
Yeah, Manny Gonzalez up in. Yep. Kellex is in here. Taxo Chacon is up in here. And let's see. Channels says loves Video Drew. Yeah, they're in here as well. Nick L. Brown, absent good. Amy says hi.
Absent good is a great username. Everyone just start changing your usernames to more reflect accurately what's going on with the world right now. There is an absent good.
Jim Sandelin, Movie Radar, Martin S, Acer 5000, and Jake Iyer. That's everybody so far. And thank you all for joining us. And please give us some likes over here. We're at 57 likes. Want to get up as high as we can with those likes. So please roll those through. And remember, the Super Chats and the Streamlabs are open for you to send your questions in for me or for Video Drew or for both of us so that we can answer your questions here on the show. J-Dog says, Selena Gomez admits to Miley Cyrus she's bipolar. Is this true? Did you see this? Is this what's happening in the world?
Is this like a question that you usually get, or is this literally just because someone assumes that I would know who, like Selena Didn't Selena die? Wasn't there a movie about that? Like,
Selena did not. Well, Selena, that's someone else. Yeah, but yes, I hear you.
I don't know, but that doesn't seem like, again, so sort of the problem I'm having with the world right now is relating to like how any of that would matter. Like Selena Gomez admits to Miley on what, a talk show in like real life? Like I don't know. How do we know this, and who cares to report on that right now? Like, okay, well,
people do.
Okay.
Yes, Selena Gomez, this is on CNN. Selena Gomez shares that she has bipolar disorder in a conversation with Miley Cyrus. This is from CNN. I think that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing that she's opening up about it and talking to people about it and admitting it, because it makes it feel like other people who may have this disease, look how successful this woman is despite having this condition, and the fact she's willing to talk about it. Or because of it, certainly, absolutely. So it's pretty. I think it's pretty brave of her to talk about it. So I appreciate that very much. Yeah.
No, I like that. It's the way the headline was phrased a little bit made it sound like somebody eavesdropped on a private conversation and leaked the audio of like someone admitting something to Miley Cyrus, because Miley Cyrus doesn't have a show. So like, how do we know what she Selena Gomez admitted to her? That's just maybe an editor's brain, but like, I'm a little bit confused by that headline.
Let's see here. Let's bring in Wiley Todd for a live question here. What's up, Wiley?
How you doing?
That mic looks familiar.
Mike looks familiar. I need
Rocha,
one.
One more thing to add. So like you can have it on to the side there. Are you wanting it that way? But you kind of mainly just want it in the front. Because I could see the gray on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds fine.
The way the arm is built. It's the way the arm is built right now.
Okay,
It's angled. So yeah.
It sounds great though.
Get off me, Dad.
Great.
Let me do it my way,
jealous.
Dad. Jesus.
I like that Roxy had the same reaction to the tech stuff that I did when she was on your show recently, which is just to say she pressed you harder about it. She was like, "Where'd you get the overlay? How do you do the bumper?" And then you finally broke it down. I was like, "Oh, so StreamYard does okay." And I was like, I was taking notes. I was like, okay, so it's not just me who's impressed by all these wonderful toys that you've managed to pick up. I don't think we can be making that many old guy Rocha jokes anymore when you've managed to pick up this tech quicker than me or Roxy.
Yeah, well, when people were making jokes, I was learning about this shit. So, and I was shaking the tree to see who could help me. So I have a very high expectation of myself. So I push myself pretty hard, for better or worse. And so when I see things and I want things to look a certain way, I work hard to make sure it happens in my way, because it's like a focus of mine. But I think you and Roxy are doing fantastic jobs with your streams, and you're certainly accruing more attention and support from the fans overall financially. So it's great to see that they're helping you guys out like crazy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to end up out of this apocalypse with more computers than I started with. I now have 3 computers. I started with 1.
Nice. People are sending you computers? People are buying you computers? Wow.
Damn.
Wow. Yeah. Maybe I made my shit look too good. And people are like, oh, we don't need to buy him anything.
Well, what happened is I came here. My Mac died. The logic board fried, and then my gaming PC that has a backup, the battery died. So I was without anything. And then someone paid for the logic board to get fixed and someone sent me a computer. So thank you. Thank you everyone. I'm not sure if they want their name shouted out on a podcast. So it's not this, but thanks to everybody. No, I just need clothing because I didn't bring enough clothing with me to Los Angeles.
Oh, now she's chilling for clothing. Oh my God.
No, I'm not chilling for clothing. I'm just saying I'm out of clothing and it's a health hazard.
Send all your clothes to Drew. Send all your clothes. Put your sizes out, Video Drew.
Yeah.
If you're gonna wear clothes, you're gonna have to put your sizes out.
Just start adding. I'm just gonna start. Yeah, I will absolutely do that. It's a health hazard for me not to have enough clothing.
What's
anyway?
Do you have a question, Wiley?
Yes, I do actually. So both of you always help us out with entertainment, just everyone. So I want to ask how you guys are doing. Like how are you doing? How are you getting through the days? Because I know we as fans, I know I sure do care about how your guys are mental health and just how you're taking day by day. So I want to know how you guys are doing.
Drew, do you want to answer this one?
I mean, half of me feels like I was born for this. I feel like Bane a little bit. You guys have just adopted this crazy mentality of being out of work and unemployed and not able to leave your house. I was born. I was born to this. This is what I've been doing for the last 2.5 years. I was molded by it. I went to the quarantine since I was a girl. No, I mean, I think I mentioned on the last stream, my dad was quarantined several times when I was a young child for monkey bites because he worked with monkeys. And this was during the hot zone, what's the other one? The hot zone and the other Ebola monkey one, outbreak, right? So I grew up very scared of a pandemic. I read The Stand really young. A part of me has been sort of waiting for if any apocalypse was going to happen, this was the one. Or if any world change, the end of the world as we know it was going to happen, I was sort of already, my brain and my sensibilities have always been towards this one. That being said, I need people around me. And I think we all do. And I'm really lucky that my friend Eric has let me come and stay with him in Los Angeles. He has roommates. I'm actually around more people and being more social now than I've been in 3 years. So, but I'm healthy. Good. Yeah, I'm healthy. So I can't complain. Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I mean, I've just been focusing on the channel, so it keeps me occupied mentally and physically all the time, to be honest with you. And my girlfriend's been great about it as well. And we go on these walks that keep our minds sane. We watch TV when we need to watch TV. So for us, she's an introvert already. So I just kind of acclimated to what, how she kind of moves within the world. And so we kind of created that within our own space. So the only thing that I get real edgy about is, and I was telling her this when we were having a little bit of dinner before I came on, is I get super edgy when I go outside, actually, because I get around people who are just in this place, and I'm an empath. So I can pick up the vibes, the energy, the emotional energy of people around me, and it drives me insane. I can sense how on edge people are, and then it makes me on edge. At Target today, like I was telling Drew earlier, I almost just threw everything at everybody and ran screaming out of there, going, "Get the fuck away from me! You guys are going to get me killed." And it's just but I have to fight that impulse. Yeah. I have to fight that impulse.
I'm very self-oriented. So I'm always in my own head. So I can spend hours being that person in Target, just staring at something, putting it that or being on edge, being just totally on edge, freaking everyone else out with my insane jittery energy. But I just put it out there in the world. I feel very grateful that I'm with people right now who both have a space for me to be alone and I can come join. It's really, really lucky.
Yeah.
What about you, Wiley?
I'm doing fine. I've been keeping busy. I've been helping Rocha out, so that's been fun. I've been working on my own stuff, and I'm honestly, this sounds awful, but I'm actually having a great time because I've always been stuck in this school setting, and I get home and I work on my own stuff or help other people out with technology stuff because that's what I like to do.
Right.
And and I have that 24/7 now, and I'm loving this. I'm watching movies. I'm doing everything I wanted to do. I'm helping people that I are my heroes, like Rocha, which I thought a year ago I would never talk to in my entire life.
Yeah.
And then this sounds really awful, but I've been recently becoming a fan of you, Video Drew, and
that
you've
does
been
sound
great.
Awful.
But I didn't want it to come across, so that's why I prefaced that. But it didn't come out awful. I was just trying to keep that guard around me. But I've been doing good. I've been glad to help each other and stuff. And the reason I wanted to ask that question is because you help us guys all the time. So I'm not going to talk about some movie and that's like nothing's going on. I want to ask how you guys are doing because that's what I mostly care about.
Well, we really appreciate it. I mean, look, this is I vacillate between that too, where a part of me, like I said, like a part of me feels like I was born for this. I'm ready for this. I was like ready for like getting into the game. Like I feel like this puts me this has allowed me to interact the same way as like fans interact with Rocha. This has allowed me to like steal Rocha a little bit because everyone's got time now. So like Dan Merle's doing podcasts like that, he's available, like everyone's just available to do stuff, and I feel like I'm really ready to seize the opportunity on that. Like whether or not it's going to turn into a brand for me the way that you, Rocha, are like, you're like both sides of Whiplash. Like you're just gonna keep beating the shit out of yourself about making sure things look great. And meanwhile, I'm like, if I don't do it live, then it's not gonna get done. I spent like 30 minutes today, or no, it was like more like an hour and a half on the floor, like actually cleaning the floor here with like gloves and everything. But I had to do it live on Twitch or else it wasn't gonna get done. I literally had to do it.
Smart.
Yeah. I'll get on that Twitch train at some point. Finally tonight got approved by Apple for the Outlaw Nation podcast network. So now all the shows that people are watching are going to go in podcast form. All the live streams, all the reviews, the wrestling show, everything we do on the Outlaw Nation now will be in podcast form. Thank you. It took like a month because they had delayed it, and then I had to send multiple emails to Anchor to get them to approve it, and then finally Apple approved it yesterday, finally after 2 weeks of waiting for Apple to finally approve it. So now it's available on all the streams, and I'm probably going to spend Sunday uploading all the audio of all those episodes so people can catch up on that kind of stuff as well, and we'll see what it yields. So
look, you're doing great. I know that it's kind of weird to say this, but like I look at your stuff and I'm like super envious, like I look at some people's stuff and I'm just like, God, the amount of like, it's not just like your numbers, it's not just like your fandom, it's like the amount of detail and like like this is professional grade stuff, whereas for me I feel like I could work on this for years and it will still be like it will be a very different product, and it is a very different product. We're very different people, but I look to you as somebody like I admire a lot in terms of how you stay professional despite doing this like 24/7 and interacting.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, I love the thing but the thing is you got to understand, like I look how you're doing things and I'm like, I wish I could be that kind of free flowing and then like whatever. I wish I could take 6 hours on a stream and things of that nature. Or I wish I had the inventiveness that you do, like that TV tube on your head, like talking through the TV, singing. Like I don't have that kind of creativity in my bones necessarily, just on the spur of the moment. Like for me, I have to kind of plan it out and then the creativity comes. But so like it's just two different sides of the coin, because both are being creative just in different ways. And I envy how creative you are, and I appreciate you envying whatever I'm trying to do here. But again, it's a team. It's not just me. Like it's a team of people like Wiley Todd, like Jake Iacovetta, like Brian Ward, like so many people just helping me out. Denuzio, all those people just stepping forward and helping it look a certain way. And so that's been great as well overall. So I'm happy, and people coming on the streams. So
I think we're going to walk away. I think maybe our biggest takeaway in a positive way so far that's going to come out of this is we're going to like, not that we weren't already so appreciative of the fans in the Schmodown community, but like now I really truly feel like everyone who's a character on Schmodown understands the fandom the way I did when I came in, which is like I'm like fans of them first, and then like I watch the show second. Like they're my friends first, and then right. And so like now it's almost like the TV talks two ways. It's a hot medium. We're like talking to you, you're talking to us. It's Marshall McLuhan. So
exactly. Yeah, exactly. All right, Wiley, thank you, man. And Wiley's in here moderating with us for us too. And some of you might want to come in and come in live and ask us questions like Wiley's doing as well. He's posting that link out there in the chat, so look for that link. We got a couple of people waiting for us, but I've got to get to a couple of.
Sorry, Rocha.
No. Tell him, Wiley. Tell him.
It's simple today, guys. You don't have to go through the Discord, so you don't have to do that trouble. And honestly, everyone, we're all in quarantine. You need someone to talk to. Just join. It's super simple. You see how nice these people are. They're great human beings, and you can talk to them and ask your questions. Don't be afraid. If you guys do get scared, message me, Shug, or Jake, and we'll be like, hey man, come on, it's fun. It's simple. Don't get overwhelmed. It's okay.
The only one who should be afraid is Malcolm. Malcolm was sitting there waiting because I'm gonna scare the shit out of him once he comes on. Other than that, everyone else is fine.
I feel like Malcolm and I are having like a good interaction right now. He's like helping me out on something. My brain's a little fried right now, but
he's also like on something. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's helping me out. But I do also want to say, like, I'm sure people have questions like whether or not this is a clean brush and whether I clean my hands before touching my face. Yes to all that. I'm literally right out of the shower. Nothing has been touched. This is all sterile. So, now I concern myself with that. So no one worry.
I love this.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Wiley. Appreciate it, brothers. Always great to see you. And thanks for the mic again, man. This is great. I love it.
Sounds amazing, man. And it's going to sound great for your voiceovers too. Once you start recording more, it's going to sound crisp. It's going to sound great.
Thank you so much. You saved my life, brother. Thank you. That's Wiley Todd. I love Wiley. That kid's 17. Trust me, that kid's going to do a lot of great things.
I forgot about that.
He's only 17 and on top of the world. It's phenomenal. Larry Lease sent us a super chat. He wants to know what will happen now to the New Mutants. What do you think is going to happen with New Mutants? We should get to that. The Marvel slate has been completely moved and everything's been changed around, and they finally announced it today. That was the breaking news today. They announced their slate. New Mutants. It looks like if they're going to push that again. People making jokes about it all over the place. Black Widow is now moved to November 6, 2020. The Eternals are moved to February of 2021. So off of that, a fall slot over into the early months of next year. Shang-Chi, The Legend of the Ten Rings, over to May 7th now. Doctor Strange is moved to November 5th. And Thor Love and Thunder is moved to February 18th. So that's a good Valentine's Day movie. Black Panther 2 on May 6th of 2022. Captain Marvel 2 on July of 2022, and then an untitled Marvel film in October of 2022. So no mention of New Mutants, but certainly that's one that everyone is wondering about what's gonna happen with that thing, and it seems like it's just gonna get pushed there.
I figured it out. I think I just figured it out.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's because they're probably going to release it on VOD because that one's done.
You think so?
That one's been done. That one they can release, and it can be like this hot thing that everyone watches at home, like on a Friday. I mean, I know they just announced there's like a virtual South by Southwest where they're going to be streaming original movies. Yeah. HBO is like going free for so I'm not worried about a lack of Marvel content in the. I don't want to like be too much like why are we even talking about this stuff, because this is the reason. I mean, we're talking about pop culture because that's how we understand the world. However, I feel like, first of all, New Mutants is in the bag. It's been in the bag. That's the one thing we know about it. Is like, Sansa, not Sansa, the other Stark has grown up. Maisie Williams, is that right?
Yeah, Maisie Williams. Yeah.
Yeah, the movie's done. So that movie's done. So they can release that at any point on Disney Plus and have it be this huge thing. For the others, I mean, like, look, make it out of to the other side of this, and you get to see Doctor Strange too. Won't that be exciting?
Yeah. I mean, I think I get where Drew is coming from. This idea of like, does this all really matter? But I think it does, because in some way it's continuity. It's the feeling that normalcy can happen. So once you lay these dates down, people start to feel like, okay, there's something to look forward to. There's something out once we climb out of this shit, and hopefully we'll be climbing out of this shit sooner rather than later. There's something else that's out there that we can feel normal again, going to see and feel like our lives are back to normal again. That's the kind of thing I think entertainment provides. When I had Jeff Snyder on this morning on Mornings with the Outlaw, he was just like talking. Yeah, it was great. But Jeff was talking about it. He's like, sometimes I feel like what I'm talking about is trivial. When I'm breaking scoops, I feel guilty, like trying to get to scoop some stuff. And I said to him, you don't understand that it's actually really important. I know in the past I felt that way too. Like, actors, what's the point? That people dying? No. Distractions are important to balance out life, and most people aren't working jobs that they actually enjoy working. So these distractions help them to balance out their life and unwind and a little bit and kind of like, decompress. Sports or movies or any kind of entertainment, it allows them to decompress. And so I wouldn't say that stuff is trivial. I say everything is connected and matters for the overall picture. Because if we all come out of this and we have no movies and no sports, but we're all alive, fuck that. I don't. That's not an enjoyable life, in my opinion. There's more to enjoy in the world having distractions and entertainment than there is without it. That's my opinion. What do you think, Drew? Do you think I'm crazy? Hello? Uh-oh. Is Drew frozen? Oh, sorry, guys. Drew is frozen. I'll bring her back in when she's when she comes back in. I don't know what happened. Maybe Manny gave her some bad advice, or Malcolm gave her some bad advice, and now we're in this situation. All right, let's bring in Chuck Clark. What's up, Chuck? Were you waiting to talk to Drew? I can wait for Drew to come back if you want. What's going on?
I mean, it's fine. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, cool. To be honest, this is the first time I've ever been on stream with Drew or ever heard. So like, I felt a little awkward, but like, she was hilarious. So I'm like, I'm definitely gonna check her out. You know what I mean? Go check out her channel and stuff. But
she's fantastic.
I had two questions, sort of. One, is kind of light, so you can knock it out. I just saw a thing that apparently the NBA is trying to like talk to the players union about canceling the season. I mean, what do you think would be the impact? Like, our players, I'm sorry, I can't. I just have no one to talk about this, but like, I was just like, how does that work? What does that mean? What does that mean for this season? Does that mean everything's just gone? I mean, how do they?
That's the thing. They'd have to vacate the wins and the losses. They'd have to vacate everything. Let me bring Drew back in. There she is. Let me bring Drew back in. They'd have to vacate the entire season, everything like that. The stats. I think they'd have to vacate the stats, because if there's no end of the season, then those stats can't count towards your overall competition, in my opinion, because the season never ended. The season never completely went to fruition, and you had a champion and whatever. So I'd heard also that they were trying to do these NBA playoffs in a single location in Vegas, where they brought all the players in and basically quarantined them all in their hotels without any family members. So all they did was play basketball, work out, go back to their hotels, and be there. That had been floated as well, and they were going to cut them down to 3-game series. So it's crazy. It's interesting to see that overall. So I don't know what they're going to do, but if they cancel the season, that's another indication that I don't think this thing is done with us until next year. In my personal opinion, I think all these moves are great, but I think it's all wishful thinking, pie in the sky stuff. And I think eventually we're going to be, this entire year is going to be a wash movies wise as well. We might not even have an Oscars. What is that?
Ooh. I know. I live here in Maryland, and like,
what part?
News, so like we get updates from Johns Hopkins all the time, because they're got a bunch of people working on the vaccine and whatnot. And that's all awesome. Saying like a year is like great. Like if we get it in a year, like we're good. Yeah, that's great. That's best.
What part of Maryland are you from?
So the other question, and I'm glad Video Drew is back, because I was telling John, like, this is the first time I'm kind of like seeing you in a stream or anything. So like, this is like my introduction. So I haven't watched the Schmodown ever yet. I'm a little hesitant because I'm not into pro wrestling. I'm real into
me neither, man.
Trivia,
me neither.
Pro wrestling, and that part is kind of. But I love all the personalities. I love all that. So what would be like? Obviously, it doesn't seem like a thing that I would necessarily need to go back. But what would be like a good thing to watch that would be like get me set? You know what I mean? Get me going. Like, what's a good entry point?
Can you hear me? Is my audio coming through?
Yeah.
Okay. So
can you hear
can I just ask first?
Hold on. Can you hear her? Okay, cool. Go ahead.
I first want to ask, what part of Maryland are you from? Because I'm from Columbia, and my dad works at NIDA over in Silver Spring.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I feel like maybe he can't hear me.
Chuck, can you hear Video Drew or no? Oh,
no,
you can't.
I can't hear her now.
I could hear her. Oh, hold on.
Can anyone? Does everyone else hear me? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I haven't muted your mic or anything. You should be fine.
I should be.
Oh, hold on. Let me bring someone else in and see if they can hear you. Hey, Malcolm, can you hear Video Drew?
Hey, Malcolm. Hi, Malcolm.
I can hear Video Drew.
Oh, yeah. Weird. All right. I'm not sure why Chuck can't. Okay. Well, let me repeat. Chuck, she wants to know.
Rocha.
Yeah, I will. She wants to know what part of Maryland you're from, Chuck.
I live just south of Baltimore. So I between Baltimore and Annapolis.
Right. Nice. Okay. Tell them I live in Columbia, or my dad lived in Columbia. Yeah.
Her dad used to live in Columbia, Maryland. So she was asking about that.
Yeah, I know where that is. Yeah. There's a golf shop up there.
And for the second thing, I'd say, I'm not a fan of pro wrestling. This is gonna be like you're the translator, but I'm not a fan of. Yeah, I'm not a fan of pro wrestling either. But I would say start by watching the Looney Bin match, the Looney Bin versus Time Machine, and it's a really good match last season.
Drew says she's not a fan of pro wrestling, but she's plugging her own match instead of anyone else's match. She's plugging the Looney Bin match versus who?
Versus Time Machine, the upset of the year.
Time Machine. That's the one, the upset of the year. She said that's the one to watch if you want to get into it, because a lot of those people are not necessarily into pro wrestling that participate in that match, but they enjoy doing movie trivia. The only pro wrestling part of it is the storylines, but once the games start, most of that stuff doesn't get mixed into the games themselves, was what I would say, Chuck. So if you, and none of this is like, none of this is planned out. There's no rigged matches. These are legitimate matches and people are competing against each other. So just, if you want to skip through all the interviews and all that kind of crap and the promos and just go to the matches, you'll enjoy that overall, just as a movie trivia guy, and test your knowledge as well to see if you know as much as everybody else when they're playing. That's the fun part of it.
I will do that. I will definitely do that.
Cool.
Then. I got to pull it.
Great.
Pull it up.
Right. Good talking to you, man. Thanks for checking in.
Thanks.
Good
Take
talking
care.
to you.
How can you imagine being in a world where you can't hear me? Like, that must be beautiful. Where like everyone else you can hear fine, but I'm muted. I would like to live in that reality. I must seem great. I must seem pretty and very like just very forceful, but without any sound coming out.
No,
She sounds like she has something on her mind. Good thing we can't hear it.
She's got something to say.
Yeah, she has something to say.
Where's Mark Ellis? Mark Ellis chimed in. Mark Ellis is in here. He said,
"What?
Super chat, Rocha, I can't find the 1987 NFC Championship game on YouTube anywhere, so I'm here. Entertain me." Oh,
are you not entertained? Are you not entertained, Mark Ellis? Mark Ellis has been killing it. First of all, thank you both for sending in such great birthday wishes to Nerd Chronic, who was the person who came in for a hot second, and I was waving to because he wanted to make sure the internet was working. You guys both killed it. I think we'll be putting up a Snyder cut that ironically doesn't have Jeff Snyder in it, but we'll be putting up a cut of everyone's birthday wishes. You guys were both great. I wrote really funny captions for everybody. So
thanks. Yeah. Well, Eric deserves it. And he's fantastic. And I'm honored to be in any company with Mark Ellis in any way. So I appreciate that very much, Mark. You're very kind. And we're going to do our best to entertain you, brother, man. We've got a bunch of Streamlabs that have come through here, Drew. Let's go through them real quick and answer these questions. The first one's from Soulshire 1999. He said, Rocha, try and get Christian to do Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind with you and Steve on the Cinephiles. No better time than the present pandemic. What would Video Drew do on the show? Love to you, Outlaw. Yeah, what would you do? Video, what's your favorite great movie?
Being John Malkovich.
Like classic. Oh, that's a good one. Spike Jonze.
I was about to say, I like Eternal Sunshine fine. I think that's like a Sabrina movie. Like, and I'm like the other side of them. Spike Jonze, Charlie Kaufman divide. I'm the Spike Jonze person, not a Michel Gondry person. So Being John Malkovich is the dark, it's just the weird. It's the most Video Drew kind of movie that ever existed. Like, I remember my parents coming home and being like, so it's a movie about a puppeteer. And I was like, hard stop. What? And they're like, and then he goes and controls famous actor John Malkovich's mind, from the Jewel Thief movie. That movie's full of some of the most droll one-liners that have ever existed in cinematic history.
Yeah, and it's a tragic movie because Cusack's character is such a self-destructive, petty guy lost in his own insecurities and trying to control his world and force these people to do certain things and try to have his cake and eat it too. And when he gets bamboozled by everybody, I thought it was brilliant.
Oh my God. It's predicted the Reddit nice guy movement by over a decade, and Cameron Diaz in it. You have to remember this was Cameron Diaz in her height of beauty and stuff. And she was put on with these frizzy wigs. She's got a pet monkey. It's a great movie. And I feel like it's the kind of one that doesn't get asked about on it's one of those ones that slips through the Schmodown cracks a lot. But I don't know why. It's one of the best films. So that's what I would say.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I think Being John Malkovich would be fun to do with you. Absolutely. I'll try to get Eternal Sunshine with Harloff, but Harloff rarely does stuff with us or rarely does podcasts, period. So
now's the time.
You have to find the right timing. Yeah. It is the time now for sure. All right. Our next Streamlab is from Suge Knight. He says, hello to the Outlaw and Video Drew. Hope you guys are having a great night. What is one of your greatest drinking stories? Hope you guys have a great night. All right, Drew, do you have a great drinking story?
Yeah, I do. Okay. Wait, which one can I tell?
Which one can you tell?
Okay, so one time I was at who's the guy who owns all the banks ever? Soros. I was at George Soros's son's birthday out in the Hamptons. And it was like me and the guy who plays Ray from Girls, Alex Karpovsky. And we decided that we were going to crash Spike Lee's after party. Like he was having a big other party, like at his Hamptons estate. And we ended up, I was wearing this big, like white, Betsy Johnson ball gown. And I remember we bypassed security because we weren't invited by going through the hedges, and like a security guard was coming by with a flashlight, and we pretended like we were like hooking up. So the guy was like, "Oh, sorry, man." Like, did one of these things. It was like right out of a movie. Like we were just like, quick, like, fake kiss. It was hysterically funny, and we were super wasted. So holla to that moment. We definitely we got into Spike Lee's house. I've seen the inside of his house now. So that's it doesn't really have that much to do with the drinking part, but like it was very much like a cinematic moment of my life that I will never forget happening.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I think the big one for me was when I was first, because I didn't drink in high school at all. Like I was one of those good kids, didn't do drugs, didn't drink, do none of that stuff. Pretty straight-laced kid. It wasn't until I got to college. Yeah, pretty much nerd. My first trip through college was when I started to understand what drinking was. When I joined a fraternity, which was a massive mistake.
Of course you did.
And we went, but I ended up quitting that fraternity too. So, but we went to Myrtle Beach or South Carolina for that summer or whatever thing with all the fraternities. And the first time I got super, super drunk was that one night. We were doing those, like, you do sevens when you do the shots, like, levels and stuff like that. So I got so drunk that I ended up getting buried out in the sand by the house by my fraternity, my frat brothers.
You were buried alive.
And I was buried alive, and I woke up the next morning, and I was just like, "How the fuck did I end up here?" So it was a crazy night of drinking. There's not enough time for me to tell you the whole story. So much insane shit happened by the time I ended up back at that house to get buried alive. But I had some of the best night of sleep I ever had in my entire life. I'm sure.
Yeah, well, I will say that I don't drink that often, but I know that Nerd Chronic, who's in the comments right now, is probably shaking his head. He says I'm like Tahani from The Good Place because I'm always like. And tell the stories about my old days. I'm always like name dropping like the most random people. So this time we were at Spike Lee's house. We call him Spike.
No surprise.
George Soros's son's anthropologist. Yeah, it's just so dumb.
Yeah, you're connected all over this place, man. I got no surprise whenever you drop a name. I'm always like, yep, that makes sense. That totally makes sense.
That picture of me and Tom Hanks from 7 years ago where he's giving me the little bunny ears. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Hope he's okay.
Yeah.
Hope he's okay.
Yeah, me too. Nappyhead donated. He says, I haven't actually watched the show, but Drew's got me into binge listening to Crazy Ex-Girlfriend songs. And holy cow, is that stuff good, hilarious, and actually pretty brilliant. Okay, so we should get into this a little bit, and we'll get back to your Streamlabs and your Super Chats in just a second. And those of you who are waiting to come on live, we'll definitely get you coming on live. Drew, you have tried to convince me for the last few days, and since the passing, or I guess just coincidentally, Adam Schlesinger passed from the coronavirus earlier this week as well. You've tried to get me or convince me to get into Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. And
that was right. It was a coincidence. I mean, not coincidence.
It was totally right.
Because I was talking last week about Sondheim, and I said probably the closest equivalent we have besides Lin-Manuel Miranda in terms of just the way that Sondheim conceives of writing characters, the way characters are like they're both clueless, but their obliviousness is satirized, and their lack of self-awareness or their self-awareness is something that's sung about, like on a level. Rachel Bloom, who created Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, is probably the only person who's ever come close to doing anything like that. And Crazy Ex-Girlfriend was a show that affected me so deeply when I saw it. And what's kind of frustrating is like I totally get how if you've just seen an episode or two, you're like, well, I get how Drew likes it because Drew's like one of those crazy chicks, and like you wouldn't see the appeal for you yourself. I say, man, she's manic. She like shows up. She's like, I'm going to move across the country for a guy. I'm saying it. Yeah. I'm straight saying it. But I can see how somebody like you would be like, this show isn't for me. But like I've sent you a couple songs. I hope you listen to them. They really are for everyone. That it's like how Orange is the New Black was, the Piper story was really a Trojan horse into stories about, otherism and people being treated cruelly in prison that were not white and blonde. That's very much Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Like it starts out a show about a delusional chick who moves across country trying to get a guy that she dated in high school summer camp.
Yeah.
Yeah. but it becomes like a show about the stories we tell ourselves and like how we act the way we act and how we convince ourselves that we're the good guys, like the lies and the hoops and the things that we have to do to tell ourselves that what we're doing makes us the heroes of like the narrative that we're living, which has always been something that I'm interested in. Yeah.
I think that's fair. Maybe that's the prism I need to watch the show through, because I watched the first 3 episodes of that show because my friend Pete Gardner is on the show. He's the one that, Pete is incredible. And Pete was a voiceover guy, just like me, going in almost every day to William Morris back in those days and trying to book those big campaigns, and then occasionally popping up as a character actor in a sitcom or a TV show. And then he landed this gig, and this was massive for him. And I'll always give Pete Gardner credit, because he was the one that talked me he's the one that talked me into leaving my job years ago and pursuing acting full time. And for 5 years, I was able to make a living as an actor. 5 years straight up booking jobs, whatever. But it was because Pete talked me into it. And he said something once we were in the waiting room, because we just had a conversation and we just happened to randomly talk about this. And Pete said this. And sure enough, like 3 years later, when I was like booking things and doing that, he came up to me and goes, "I told you, didn't I? I told you." And I was like, "Yeah, man." I couldn't even believe you remembered we had that conversation. And he was very kind. So I'm nothing but incredibly happy for how successful he became off that show. And he's touring around the world, doing shows live, singing and dancing, all that kind of stuff. So it's great. But I for whatever reason, I just never gravitated to the show. I tried. But you're right. I mean, because I looked at her as someone who's like, you're telling yourself a bunch of lies about what's actually happening. Why should I care about you? But if you say, no, the show is showing you the lies that you tell yourself through the main character, then you're like, oh.
And then as the show progresses, you realize that like this is how we all go around our day thinking we're in the movie, or like there's that I sent you the song and I sent you the demo that Adam Schlesinger did.
Right.
If you guys don't know him, he was the lead singer, a guy from Fountains of Wayne. So Stacy's mom, that song, Stacy's Mom has got it going on. That was him.
I love that song.
I didn't put together that he was the composer and had won an Emmy for Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. I didn't realize that was the Fountains of Wayne guy until he died. Yeah. And then I was devastated because, I mean, there's a line in one of the songs I sent you, the one that he does a demo of, where it's a song that's sung by Josh Groban in the show, but it's about how it's called "This is the End of the Movie," and it's basically like how real life isn't a narrative. Like if you had to watch a movie about your life, you'd be like, "What the hell was that?" Like that. Yeah. And then it has this line that goes, "Life doesn't make narrative sense," and that that's always like that. Like even saying it now is like it like raises goose hairs on me. I mean, Rachel Bloom, the person who created the show, had a baby the same day he died, which is like, so it's. I
didn't know that. Holy shit! Wow.
Yes, okay. and she's the reason, and part of the reason I moved out to LA, because I tweeted something off the cuff once during my divorce about how between Lady Dynamite and BoJack Horseman and Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, Netflix was recommending I See Kelp, and she DM'd me. Yeah, it was like a joke, but I was also like, haha, I'm so serious. Yeah. She DM'd me and she was like, if you ever come out to LA, like, here's the name of my therapist. I can I will refer you and blah, blah. And she just was so open, and she's been so open about her own mental health issues. And she really put a space for not just to be like a crazy manic pixie dream girl, but to be like an unlikable, like, not even a Lena Dunham unlikable, but like a different kind of too muchness that I feel like I over relate to. And then the show itself just became about, I mean, the show really opens up. I would say keep with it, especially second season, where you start getting other characters' stories in their head about what's going on. Yeah.
Right.
It's brilliant.
This is just coming over the news now, but Christopher Cross, for those of us old enough to remember Soft Rock, he has been diagnosed with the coronavirus himself. Oh man, this shit's got to stop. This shit's got to stop, Doc. Wow.
Oh my God. Wow. Well, here's my question: is like, did you think Marvel movies, even or any movie, is going to make sense? Like, if they don't address it, like, I imagine that a lot of these things are going to need reshoots because just question. Like the way that, like, are they going to be like? I mean, comic books have always lived in an alternative universe, right? There's many different multiverses, but are they going to have to pretend in the Avengers or Spider-Man that our version of the snap had never happened? Like, they're just going to be living in some utopic reality where this didn't actually kill off a bunch of people instead of putting them away for 7 years and then bringing them back. Or 5 years.
Good question. I don't know, and I think that's a valid question. Like, which which properties or which franchises are going to address this situation. And look, I mean, you saw, like you just mentioned, that in Avengers Endgame, they addressed the snap, right? The 5 years that happened since that snap and half the galaxy being wiped out and killed. Like, they addressed it and dealt with the PTSD and the mental health issues, the suicidal stuff, the depression. All of that was dealt with in the first few minutes of Avengers Endgame. So they didn't shy away from it. So it would be interesting to see how entertainment will change from this point forward and have these be storylines within their shows. I don't know. It's dangerous.
It's dangerous.
But
they're going to have to retcon a lot of stuff because a lot of stuff already had like the scripts and whatever. Like they're going to have to go back and do reshoots on a lot of movies. I mean, I think New Mutants will slip by because it kind of works because X-Men has already taken place in so many different multiverses of the X-Men. And this specific one is a different universe than the ones we've seen. And we all know that's been shot earlier. And I feel like that can just like come out. But the rest of them, they're going to have to address it. It would be like not addressing the fact that like America was in a war currently.
Right.
Like it'd be like, LOL, like the Avengers are off doing something in space, but like we're at war. So where are they?
That's fair. That's fair. Let's jump back into these super chats because we had a bunch of them that rolled through here. Jim Sandelin said, John and Drew, what do you think about HBO free streaming? I'm excited to watch the McMillions and Successions. Are you looking forward to watching anything on the free stream? And John, don't forget about the Braun Broen on Prime, #Baba Booey. Yes. I want to know if I get my money back because I still pay for HBO. Am I going to get that money back? That's the number one thing. So
I feel the same exact way. I was like, great story, bro. Like, but like also like who isn't watching like Succession at this point? I mean, I'm not trying to disrespect anybody in the audience who can't afford these streaming services. They're expensive. I know, John, I've tried to make you watch McMillions before, but then I didn't really end up loving it as a documentary. I think it's a great story. Okay. I think it was Ben Affleck or Matt Damon, one of them or maybe Mark Wahlberg already picked it up. Like the moment that story came out about them rigging the McDonald's Monopoly contests, like those little Monopoly games, which is something me and my dad used to play, like to the point of like getting obese as a child. Like we would just constantly be going to McDonald's and like seeing if we got Boardwalk, and to find out that the game has always been rigged, like, and it was this huge like conspiracy. By the way, and in Succession, like it's by the guy who made Peep Show, which is my favorite show of all time. And it's like, it is the funniest, darkest, most cynical. It's like the most New York show. So if you're like trying to rep New York right now and feel feel a little bit of New York pride, like I would watch Succession. Pride is maybe the wrong word, but like,
I like that. KP just donated and said, I just got home from a 14-hour shift and I get to watch this epic stream. As someone who works on the front line, I really appreciate you guys so much. Thank you. Can't wait till the NFL draft coverage. KP, thank you. We were just talking into a mic and shooting the shit about the world. You're actually dealing with real stuff on the front line. So we love you, man. Thank you so much.
I gotta say, and shout out to my friend Farah Ali, who's a trauma nurse in New York, and her husband Luke, who I saw the night we went to go see the musical 6 on Broadway the night before I left, and I remember them saying like, it doesn't seem to be a big thing. Yeah, we're gonna wait and see. And then 3 days later, they were like messaging me, and I'm trying to keep up with them. I'm also doing an article right now about bad roommate situations that are happening, or good roommate situations, like basically how people are handling the already very fraught roommate situation of adult roommates during this crisis where people can't pay rent. And I've talked to several nurses and doctors who are having situations of getting kicked out of their housing or being, like it's so like, no, like we salute you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so frustrated about the rent situation too, because like you get other countries, like France suspended rent completely until the end for like 3 months.
They also have healthcare.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, exactly. That too. But why can't we suspend rent across the board in this country 100%? And don't tell me it's because the landlord's got to pay. No, if the landlords don't have to pay anybody, then nobody has to pay rent. If nobody has to pay rent
some
for
are
like 6 months. No, I'm just saying it's a matter of keeping people alive and not turning everybody homeless. Like I think it's hypocritical as fuck that Jared Kushner and the Trump family are trying to get extensions for their loan payments for the Deutsche Bank, and then Kushner's real estate company put in this thing,
healthcare company.
They put in this thing where people have to sign up for it because they're going to have to pay rent every month. Without fail, you get kicked out.
I mean, like, don't get me started.
Trying to get an extension.
I can't get started on Kushner stuff because I worked for the Observer. He was my employer all the way up until in past 2016. Like it was me and Benny's like, bane of our existence that we worked for him. What I can't believe and what's very unrealistic to what we've been told about every apocalyptic scenarios is why is there commercial flights across country still? Why can't you just get on an airplane and go wherever you feel like? Like that's and also they got all the bailout money. Like I got an email from like United's CEO being like, thank you guys. Just thank the American public. Like we get to stay in business because of you. Same day I got an email from United being like, hey, for a limited time, you can like fly to New York for $39 and get like 5,000 extra miles. And I'm like, what?
And meanwhile, they're laying off a quarter of their staff. So what's the truth here? So
but also like, why is that even legal? We're all supposed to be indoors. Like, why are we allowed to travel to like, and I could literally, United is promoting and encouraging me to travel to New York and then take my free miles and go to wherever the hell else like will take us. Like what other countries?
Look,
I'm sick.
You put a businessman in charge of the country. This is what you get. They don't see anything but numbers. They don't see humanity. They don't see people as a fully fleshed out organism that they have to care about. They just see exactly.
Well, and I mean, like Kushner, I think he has like on the spectrum. I mean, that's not a disrespectful thing about anyone who is, but knowing him and having met him several times, I do think that he has an inability to relate to people, like as course. Yeah. So that doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah. His brother owns Oscar Healthcare Company, which is, I think, one of the ones with the testing stuff. I mean, we're in crazy country. Like we knew that it was going to be bad to have Trump as president, but can you believe something so bad has happened that we've like the fact that he's president is just kind of like a side thing. Like it's just kind of a bad part of it.
It's exacerbating the situation worse, in my opinion. I blame Gravity donated here. He said, I love all the media and pop culture discussions in the Schmoverse. Theater gets slept on sometimes. Last week's segment on musicals was awesome and refreshing. Well, that's fair.
Can I say like a lot of
musicals?
I love musicals. You love musicals. Bibbs loves musicals. I feel like I have a new thing. The slogan. It's like real men love musicals. Like it's like PJ Campbell loves musicals. Like Ben, the Bandit, likes musical theater. Like if you like any of these animated movies that you grew up, like The Lion King, all this stuff, you like musicals. Like just because you think that they, I know that like Nerd Chronic, like we watched Cats for a movie commentary, and he's like, "This is why I hate musicals," and I'm like, "But that's so frustrating to me because that just means like all you've seen is like." Now all you've seen is Cats musicals. And like, that's the worst version of it when there can be the best version of it, which is like Sondheim or Lin-Manuel or Crazy Ex.
I agree. Let's see. JJ Windward said, people always talk about RDJ as Tony Stark being perfect casting, but what about John Malkovich as John Malkovich in being John Malkovich? Yeah.
Oh my God. Like the best casting in the world. Like the part where, first of all, it was supposed to be Tom Cruise. Charlie Kaufman wrote the story as the title is being Tom Cruise. Yeah, it was supposed to be. And I don't think he ever thought he was going to get it. Right. He didn't think he was going to get it.
Wow. That would have worked on so many more levels if it had been Tom Cruise.
It would have, but at the same time, like John Malkovich is just niche enough to make it like a perfect Charlie Kaufman thing.
Yeah.
Like when Susan Orlean is portrayed by Meryl Streep in adaptation, it's like really funny in this like niche way of like, if you read The New Yorker and you know that Susan Orlean is not like a drug addict who's like hanging out with like Chris Cooper. She did write a book called The Orchid Thief that is a profile of that guy, but like, it works like I guess maybe I'm like a little bit like snobby. I'm like, it works on a more literary level, but it was John Malkovich. And they keep making this joke about like, aren't you the guy from the Jewel Thief movie? He keeps having to be like, was not in a Jewel Thief movie. Because, and also
you snobby New Yorkers. Yeah, go ahead.
And John Malkovich, I mean, that movie is such a snobby New York movie. Now, Charlie Kaufman, I didn't know, like used to work in a writer's room on the Dana Carvey show with Louis C.K. and who's Ben. H. John Benjamin, but the other guy, John Glazer. Like there was just a bunch of them. Like Judd Apatow, I believe, or it's just
Apatow was in it. Yeah.
So I imagine like when I think of Charlie Kaufman movies, as much as they seem like they're very dour sometimes or deal with like very dark themes, I imagine like it's also like it's as equally like comedic to me to watch movies like that. Being John Malkovich is just a legit hilarious and like weird. I think if someone tried to categorize it, maybe that's why Schmodown can't do it, is because I would challenge any category that they would place it under. Like, what is it? Sci-fi? Like, what is it? Fantasy? Like, what is it? A comedy? Is it a drama? Like, what is it? It's just weird.
It qualifies for many things.
Yeah.
With Super Chat here, have you heard that Robert Downey Jr. is coming back to the MCU? That is not being reported anywhere. That is just speculation. He mentioned a couple of weeks ago in Doolittle that during the interviews, that he would come back for less money, but that's not officially confirmed yet. So yes, I've heard it, but he hasn't said for sure he's doing it. So
yeah, I mean, if he said that he's willing to do it for less money, isn't that kind of him like saying that he's going to do it?
Yeah, but it's Robert Downey Jr., so I always take anything he says with a grain of salt because he's just in the moment and he'll say it. You know what I'm saying? Is you don't know if he'll actually do it.
I bought the Robert Downey Jr. stock when it was so low. I bought Robert Downey Jr. stock when I was like 13, and it was during the period where he could not like get insured on set. Like he did like Neil Jordan's In Dreams, and like he got that Emmy for Ally McBeal, but that was like it because he couldn't be in movies because he was so uninsurable. And I bought into him like at that. Yeah, I was so obsessed with him then, and I know that he was previously famous, like in the 80s and stuff. But that's when I bought into him, and so like to watch him become the most famous actor in America and like overcome his demons, like now he's like so big that he almost is like you can't really see him anymore. He's kind of like the sun, like you can't really. I can't have a personal feeling about him because he's just the biggest movie star in the world. But out of anyone who could be the biggest movie star in the world, I'm really happy it's Robert Downey Jr.
I don't think he is, though. I will say this. I don't think he's the biggest movie star in the world. I think he's the biggest Marvel star in the world, but he's not the biggest movie star in the world because nobody goes to see his movies outside of the MCU. Just the MCU and Sherlock Holmes films. Nobody goes to see The Judge or any Doolittle crashed and burned. Tom Cruise is still the biggest movie star in the world.
Wasn't
Robert
he the most
Downey Jr.
well paid? He was the most well paid
of Marvel. Yes.
I thought in Hollywood. And I think the thing about the Marvel thing, though, is that Tom Cruise, while he does have a couple franchises, the reason they opened up all these cinemas in, like, I remember talking to EVP of Sony a couple years ago, and he's like, you know why the Marvel movies worked is because like it directly like correlated to when they opened up all these movie theaters in India. And we needed stories that would be able to be translatable and like understood in like a epic, like big good versus evil way. Whereas Tom Cruise movies, Mission Impossible, all these things, they might be, we consider them great and they might do very well overseas. They don't really, I see why Robert Downey Jr. would be the biggest movie star in the world, even if it's just Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, because that's that. Yeah.
Right. Chris Scorpio donated too. He said, "Hey, Drew, I was raised in PG County, Maryland in Landover. That's cool to know you are from Maryland too. I love your content. You are wonderfully special and inspiringly unique with a great loyal fan base that loves you. Also, Rocha versus Merle is a must." I think that's what he's saying. Yeah.
Are you sure you didn't add that part at the end?
No, I'm just right here. It just says it. He's saying it as a suggestion to that Chris Clark guy about which Shimon I think about. So yeah, PG County, Maryland, Landover, and another big fan of yours is Chris Scorpio. That's for sure.
Look, I was born in New York, but I was raised in Newark, Delaware, which is an even smaller subset of like people who are going to relate to that. And then I went to high school in Columbia, Maryland. But yeah, like East Coast, like all the way, baby, like that little area. That usually attracts it's a poor county too. Delaware is by no means wealthy. Mark Ruffalo just did a movie about like how we dumped, DuPont just dumped all its toxic water in Delaware. Like everybody I grew up with in Delaware, like as a child, like end up not being able to have kids or like have cancer. God, this shit got dark. Sorry about that.
Was it dark water? Was it dark water? Is that
dark water.
Dark water. Yeah.
And they were like Foxcatcher, about the same family,
Oh, Foxcatcher. Yeah. DuPont. Yeah, exactly. I served at Fort Meade in Maryland for 8 years. So I was there as a reservist for the Army there at Fort Meade in Maryland. So close to Columbia Jessup in that area.
Yeah.
Mark Ellis. Boom. He says top 3 favorite bands and don't patronize me. All right.
Why does he don't patronize me? Mark Ellis is Mark Ellis in a band? Like how would I
He's a massive Van Halen fan, so he doesn't want to be patronized. Like, don't pick Van Halen because you know it's Mark Ellis is what he's saying.
Oh, can you go first? Because honestly, all I do is listen to musicals. So this is gonna take a minute of me going through Spotify. That's gonna take a second. Yeah, you go first.
All right. I will definitely say the Beatles number 1. I would have to say Led Zeppelin number 2 because like that's Led's music is incredible. Like borderline. One of the most technically brilliant musically brilliant groups ever. As much as the Beatles are great for the music you enjoy and the transitions they go in such a short time, Led is just next level with the way it does. And I don't know if there's a third, to be honest with you. I think they all fight for third place, in my opinion, of all the bands I like, because I don't know if there's a band out there that's third place for me. What about you?
Rolling Stones, I want to say, but I feel like that's my version of the Beatles. Like, but I don't even know the Rolling Stones that well. I just of their songs, I like a lot of their songs. But like, I like things like I like when Raymond Dwaldy covers their songs on Westworld. I'm like the person who likes the bastardization of their music. Velvet Underground, I really like Lou Reed, and they're great. I'm like looking through my playlist frantically, and it's like Beetlejuice the musical, Hamilton, Mandy Patinkin. They're not bands. Oh no. I love Mountain Goats. Okay. I love Mountain Goats. They're probably my go-to. Okay. Like when you're feeling like really intense, when you have a lot of feels, like you just listen to Mountain Goats. John Darnielle. So that's not pandering. I don't think Mark would agree with any of those answers, but yeah,
I'm a cheesy fuck. I'd probably go either the Doors or the Eagles as my number 3. Really? The Eagles have more hits that I enjoy, or more songs that No, I love I enjoy a lot of the Doors songs. Like there's no bad album for me of the Doors. Even though Soft Parade is considered their worst album, I still like it. Morrison Hotel has a bunch of songs that people don't ever talk about. Peace Frog is one of my favorite Doors songs ever. So I was a massive fan of the Doors. And when that movie came out from Oliver Stone, I lost my shit. I went to see that movie like 6 times. I was so in love with the Doors at the time. And that Eagles documentary, if you guys haven't seen that 3-hour Eagles documentary, if you're self-isolating and self-quarantining and you haven't seen that documentary, I think it's a 6-hour documentary on the Eagles. You've got to watch that documentary.
Wow, someone did a real video, Drew.
Phenomenal.
Someone put a real video, Drew, made a 6-hour documentary about the Eagles. I actually want to plug a documentary that I haven't seen yet, but I got really psyched about it because the way Tom, from the Looney Bin was talking about on his podcast. He was talking about they were reviewing The Color Out of Space, which has Brendan Meyer. On it. It's Brendan a Lovecraft adaptation. And he was talking about the director of it, who's the guy who walked off the set of Island of Dr. Moreau. And he was talking about Lost Souls. Apparently, right now, that director is currently working on a remake of Island of Dr. Moreau. Like he's remaking it. And Tom was like, if he had any balls, he would cast Val Kilmer as Dr. Moreau. Even though that was the reason he left. And I haven't seen Lost Souls, but I really want to now.
I interviewed him recently before they let me go from Collider because I was a massive fan of Richard Stanley. That's the director.
Yeah, Richard Stanley.
From Hardware. And I was one of those people that saw Hardware on the VHS shelf when it first had come down to home video. And I was reading all those film magazines, trying to find the cool independent films to expand my horizons. And I remember watching Hardware and I became such a fan of Richard Stanley.
What's Hardware? I've never even heard of it.
It's his first film. It's his first film that he did. And it was, he did it on its low budget. It's it's a futuristic film.
That sounds like my kind of thing.
Post-apocalyptic futuristic film. It's pretty awesome. And then I went to see Island of Dr. Moreau, and it was like, what a debacle.
God.
And then I saw Lost Souls, that documentary, which is phenomenal. So when they pitched me to him, and it was Tatum Wan, I think at Wan PR, she said, would you want to interview Richard Stanley? I was like, whatever it fucking takes.
Whatever it takes.
I want to interview. Yeah.
I wonder, is it up there with like a Man of La Mancha, like the Man of La Mancha documentary about the Terry Gilliam thing?
Yes.
I wanted to say, also, the director, like my version of that is like Schizopolis, like the Soderbergh's very first movie, which is just about language and the way that people like the way that language is a virus and the way that language is. It's one of the few movies that ever like I feel like that and Pontypool are like the 2 movies that ever address the idea of like mutation viruses.
Pontypool,
right? Yeah,
Holy
let's talk some deep cuts. I know some stuff about movies.
Let me blow the dust off that one. Pontypool, I love it.
Yeah, that's a great film.
Let's bring in Malcolm. Malcolm, you've been waiting. What's up, brother, man? Sorry to make you wait so long. We had a lot of people chiming in, thank God. What's going on?
It's all good. I've been just to address what Chuck said about the Showdown. For me, the match that I usually send people to is John Rocha versus Dan versus Mark Riley, the first 3 champions.
I've not seen it yet. I will definitely check it out. But then again, I'm catching up on.
Oh my
you
God.
understand that I never underwatched.
And you haven't watched my triple threat match?
John Rocha, you know that I have never seen, like, before Video Drew came onto the Schmodown, she had never seen Schmodown, and she's only gotten into it backwards. Eric has been a really good Nerd Chronic, of course, being the biggest fan of the Schmodown, and now also like the Ed Harris of the Truman Show, the Schmodown. Has been, like I get to see special cuts, like I get to see like awesome stuff, and like that's the reason I saw your documentary, which is mostly how I know your work now. Like I mostly know you through the documentary.
Gotcha. All right. Well, this is why Video Drew didn't talk to me when we worked together, because she never she thought I was one of those frat sports boys.
Yeah.
She immediately judged me. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She wouldn't let me be myself.
And I'm also a big fan of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, just to throw it out there.
There we go. Now, did you like the first couple episodes, or did it take you a little bit?
I mean, I got hooked from it from the very start.
Okay.
For me, the show that I had to actually watch the first season a second time to actually get into is Lost. Like the first time I watched the first season, I the first 2 seasons I was like, I don't know what the hell's going on.
Don't you hate that? Don't you hate that? We have to tell people. We have to tell people like, oh, just make it past the first season, and people are like, I don't want to have to watch the whole thing. But you're like, but then it gets so good.
Yeah.
Then it gets so
it's
good.
Like The Wire.
Have to watch. Yeah, it's like
The Wire. You got to trudge through that first season, then you're in.
I feel like the same way about The Sopranos. I know that's blasphemous, but I feel like I never got past the first. Fair. I never got past the first episode of The Sopranos because I thought it looked so low budget. And then somebody, I think Lev, like my friend Lev, was like, you know what? Just start on season 2, and anything you don't pick up, like I'll explain to you. And that worked. And suddenly I was off like a shot. So a lot of comedies take a while to find their footing. Like you'll see this a lot of time in sketch comedies. Like they really find their footing in season 2. If people are recommending a show super hard, like I slept on The Leftovers because I didn't love season 1. And if people are recommending it, trust people. I know people like Coldplay and voting for the Nazis, but trust people. That's a line from Peep Show. But, like, I
agree with this.
Yeah.
Nate M. Parks and Recreation is the first season was dull, and then it picks up in that second season so much. So first Office too. Yeah.
The first season of Office is unwatchable.
I mean, ironically, I was going to ask you about your favorite bands, but Mark Howell's already did that.
Like I froze. Did you guys see me like freeze when I saw it originally in the comments, and I was like, oh god, like I was like, I was just like petty fog. Let's filibuster. Don't make me talk about the bands.
What about you? Do you have 3, Malcolm? That's your favorite bands?
Yes. So for me, one that I like is Crowded House. A good classic band.
Neil Finn. Yep.
Yeah. Journey is one.
Journey's
and
great.
I'm not even patronizing to Mark Ellis, but I do love Van Halen a lot.
Yeah. I gotta say, there's like a lot of like the '90s bands that I really liked. You know, like Weezer was great. Got Flaming Lips. Like, I was into this weird indie stuff, but a lot of those '90s bands were pretty good. Green Day, even, they're great. Who doesn't like Green Day? What are you, socialist?
Yeah.
Malcolm, can you confirm that? Are you a Kiwi? Can you confirm?
I can confirm that.
Pink Floyd. Yes, Pink Floyd.
People always tell me I'm a Peter Jackson lookalike.
I know. And you always have Jojo Rabbit perfectly framed over you, like the way.
Giving you the rabbit ears.
My friend Tom Hanks once put bunny ears over me.
But I have thought of another backup question for my original question. But you guys talking about you guys really love your musicals. What are some of your favorite musicals of all time?
Ooh, good question.
It changes, and I will always say it's Into the Woods, just because, like I said last stream, at every point in my life I can find another thing to relate to in Into the Woods. It's something you can watch as a child and understand it on like the basic storytelling level, but like as you grow, every part of your life, it's like the Native Americans in like a buffalo. Like you will use every part of Into the Woods. I'm currently obsessed with the Beetlejuice musical, though. Like PJ turned me on to that, and I literally asked PJ before I saw it. I said, "Is it ever going to address my biggest issue with Beetlejuice, which is the huge disconnect between the film and the cartoon series, in which Lydia and Beetlejuice are best friends, and they go riding around in sandworms instead of like he's a demon and she's someone who was almost forced into being his child bride." And PJ was like, yes, the whole musical addresses that. And I was like, sold. And it does. And it's real good.
Yeah.
It's a good question. Yeah.
But I mean, for me, I like the classic ones like Oliver, Sound of Music. I also love Grease. Into the Woods is there for me. There's so much I like, and I'll spend ages just rattling them off.
I remember my friend saying in high school, like you could always tell when Drew was upset because like she'd go into her door and slam her room, and instead of hearing like like loud like punk music, you would just hear like Bernadette Peters like being like, "No one is alone." I mean, she didn't sing that song, but you would hear like Bernadette Peters just wailing through the walls. So I feel like that's what I go to as comfort food. The same way I'll go to The Office and watch it instead of watching something new. Like I don't have that much of a musical breadth because I just listen to the same. I listen to different cast recordings. Merrily We Roll Along is something that I got into fairly recently, and the best worst thing that ever happened is a great documentary about the huge failing.
I gotta watch that one. You've been talking about that. I gotta watch that one.
Just because it's like huge. It was such a huge flop. It's the play itself is about about three people who have huge flops in their lives and artistically, and so it's interesting.
Harold Prince just recently passed away, and I watched the documentary that PBS did on him, and that was fantastic. Hal Prince? Yeah, he died a few weeks ago. You didn't see that?
No.
Really?
Oh, of the COVID?
No, I don't think so. I think he's like 92 years old or something like that.
Yeah. Oh God, please protect Sondheim. Please God protect Sondheim. He just turned 82. I just keep thinking he just turned 82 2 weeks ago or something. And I was like, please just protect our patron saint of Stephen Sondheim.
Hal Prince, it was last July he died. He was 91. And he died in Reykjavik in Iceland. So just hanging out there, I guess. Best favorite musicals. Into the Woods was the one that kind of got me back into musicals because I'm a classical music guy. Like a musical, I love almost all the Gene Kelly musicals. I'll defend It's Always Fair Weather. I'll never defend The Pirate, but I'll defend It's Always Fair Weather. And all his classic ones, of course.
Never heard that before.
Which one?
What's Always Fair Weather?
Well, It's Always Fair Weather is this really dark musical he did right at the end as MGM was stopping doing musicals.
I like this.
It's these three guys who come back from World War II, and they're all happy that they're back and they're going to be friends forever and they're never going to lose contact. And they have this great musical sequence where they're dancing with trash can lids attached to their feet.
I've seen that one.
On taxi cabs. Yeah, right.
I've seen that.
They do all of that. And then, And then as time marches on, 10 years later, they haven't spoken to each other. They've moved on. One's married with a bunch of kids running a burger shop. One's like an ad executive who has gastrointestinal issues all the time with his wife. And another dude, Gene Kelly, he becomes this two-bit hoodlum. And so they all come together because they said they were going to come back on this date 10 years later and reunite and reconnect. And they all hate each other at this point.
So
and then slowly but surely, they figure things out. I don't want to tell you too much, but slowly but surely it goes on from there.
So what you're explaining it to me is literally the plot of Merrily We Roll Along, except going chronologically forward. Merrily We Roll Along starts with them the three people hating each other and them having having gone their separate ways and the huge fallout. And then every successive scene takes place a little 2 years earlier, and you see them get younger and more optimistic. And
oh wow,
it was really ahead of its time. I was really looking forward to watching it was going to be the next movie with Binky or Jonah Hill's sister. We talked about that last time.
Beanie Feldstein,
Beanie Feldstein, and it was going to be by the the Boyhood director. So it was going to be their next 20-year spanning movie because that's how long it happens in a play. And so people were literally going to grow old. And Dear Evan Hansen's Ben G. Platt was going to play one of the guys. I hope it still happens. I hope that can maybe survive. That might be able to survive because it's long enough of a timeline.
I would definitely throw Sweeney Todd in there because I love the darkness of Sweeney Todd. And I want to play Sweeney Todd one day in the future.
I want to play Mrs. Lovett. So let's make that happen.
Let's do it. Let's hear your cockney.
An old Schmodown production of Sweeney Todd.
Right? I will say
Schmodown production.
Yeah. We'll do it like the Office style. We'll have everyone.
Oh my God. We should do that. Drew, I'm sorry to cut you off real quick. If there's ever a what if match where Video Drew and I are together against another team, I will absolutely dress up as Sweeney Todd and she dress up as Mrs. Lovett. That would be brilliant.
Because you guys know that's like 90% of what look what I'm wearing. I mean, like this is like 90% of my thing. And then like her character is just so I can turn her over like a puzzle box a million ways, and every single time I'm like, yep, that me. Like I feel personally attacked and seen. Like she's just perfect. And I always think of like her line like during right now, especially where I'm like, well, pity like a woman alone with limited wind, like because I can't catch like the animals and like chop them into pies, popping pussies into pies, man.
Mrs. Lovett. There you go. All right, thanks, Malcolm. Appreciate it, brother. Always good to see you, my man.
See you.
I really want to check that out.
Stay healthy.
Yeah, see you, Malcolm. I want to check out Fairweather and Hardware. You've mentioned two things tonight, Rocha, that have piqued my interest, and that's a hard thing to do. Yeah. So.
See what happens if you hadn't judged me as this like frat boy sports guy.
I'm saying in general, it's hard for me to receive input or suggestions for things. And you've said two things, not trying to sell me on them, just explaining like what the concept of them is. And I'm like, so that's impressive. We've achieved that.
TCM did a recent breakdown of It's Always Fair Weather with Alicia Malone hosting the presentation, and it was fantastic. She was great on it.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Is that kind of like a riff on It's Always Fair Weather? I
don't think so. I think that was just those kids being foolish. Suge Knight, what you got, bro?
Hey, what's going on? Whoa, what the hell? I'm like on my face. How you guys doing tonight?
I'm pretty good. Hanging out with my friends.
So I just wanted to talk about maybe Rocha about the UFC and how Khabib is stuck in Russia.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, quote unquote stuck in Russia. Yeah.
Do you think he's dodging Ferguson, or is he really stuck in Russia?
I think Ferguson's a damn fool for saying that shit. I absolutely think that he is stuck there, and he is. I'm sure if he told the Russian authorities, let me go, I want to go fight, they'd let him do it. But I think it's also smart of him not to risk his career, because you never know who's got it there in the production staff. And the UFC doesn't strike me as the most careful production staff with the people working on behind this. I think they're a glorified reality show. I wouldn't trust them to take care of my health at all. I mean, we're just numbers. If I was a fighter, you're just a number to Dana White. He's like Don King.
Oh, especially
now. Care.
And this thing is not taking any prisoners. Like there's somebody who died was a very young sports guy this week, right? Like somebody who was on a football team. Like taking no prisoners. Idris Elba has it. Like it's not, you know, and Russia I feel like has less cases, or they're reporting less cases. Who knows like how they
reporting less cases.
Right. But like there is like the thing, it's kind of like Canada way where people are real spread out, and like, you know, I don't know that much about sports, but like, Russia seems like a safer place to be right now.
I feel Video Drew. I think you need to watch the UFC. I think it would just be awesome just to see your reaction to somebody. Oh my god!
Maybe I'll watch UFC. I don't know what.
I will absolutely do that. To have you watch like a good fight, like BJ Penn. Remember BJ Penn versus when he licked his gloves. I'm trying to remember who when he licks his gloves with the blood. Oh, that'd be just to have Video Drew watch that. It'd be hilarious.
That's kind of dope. I watched WrestleMania 2 weeks before I did Schmodown for the first time, and I remember watching it. I was with Vinny Mancuso and Norm, and I was watching it, and I was like, "Oh, no one told me this was like Disney." I was like, "No one told me this was like movie, like musical theater." I was like, "These people are in costumes and they're like doing their shit." No. I was like, "There's no fighting. Yeah. There's no actual."
Drew, when you get free, just look up Ronda Rousey kicked in the head when Holly Holmes kicks her in the head. You'll just and then Rocha, you know how you're talking about companies now not letting their managers not wanting to give people free rent and everything. I actually just got today from my manager saying that there's been rumors about not being able to pay your rent and stuff, and so they said if you do not pay your rent, you are kicked out no matter what. Doesn't matter what kind of situation it is.
They're being such fucking dicks, man.
No,
they probably legally can't, can they?
No, they can't right now. No. Trump put a stay of order on evictions. So, like, unless you're subleasing.
No, the letter we got today is saying there's nothing in California.
Well, they're probably hoping that you don't fight it. They're probably hoping that you don't fight it. And
I imagine, like, no one wants to go to court right now. They don't want to they don't want to come into your home and like take a pot. Like, they don't want to have to do it. It's kind of squatters' rights, and California has pretty good squatters' rights.
I'll tell them, come take my stuff out for me if you want to kick me out.
Yeah, exactly. No, tell them to fuck off.
Basically,
right? Serious, tell them to fuck off.
But really, be safe.
That's what I'm gonna tell him. I'm gonna tell me to tell you to go fuck off.
Yeah, tell him. Put him on the phone with me. I'll tell him.
However, going back to the wrestling thing for a second, have you guys seen the performance art that is the no contact professional wrestling stuff or the UFC kind of stuff? I think it was UFC, where it's like, or it's amateur wrestlers, but they're basically showing you they're doing a no contact 6 feet roll, but they're like doing the choke holds and the slams, and you get to see like how it looks like they're using the force. It's like awesome. Yeah. If someone had explained to me wrestling was fake, I guess I would have like really, really enjoyed the concept of wrestling.
It's not fake. Right. It's predetermined.
That's what I meant. Predetermined. If I knew it was scripted, semi-scripted. If someone had explained to me like there is a semi-scripted like weird performance art thing instead of this is sports, I probably would have been way into wrestling.
Back in the day, they considered it kind of a sport.
Come on. Yeah.
They considered it kind of a sport.
Yeah, well, because
then McMahon
because those guys really fought. Those guys really in the 50s and 60s, watching Dark Side of the Ring, you hear about those guys who actually fought during that time. People would like Killer Kowalski, like they legitimately would get into fights because they thought the other guy hit him too hard or was not. So they would legitimately get into that shit.
But it was still
time. Now it's more choreographed. Obviously, you don't do that, but yeah.
But you said that you get into fights because the guy thought you hit too hard, which in itself implies that there was a level of always knowing that there was. That's interesting to me. I guess maybe I grew up thinking like wrestling was like boxing and it was always super real. And I didn't
remember what Rocha WrestleMania 2, Mr. T boxed
Piper. Right? Piper. Yeah. And Piper really hit him. Piper knocked him out.
Got pissed. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You guys keep talking about Dark Side of the Ring. I'm gonna have to. That's another thing I'm putting down, like Dark Side of the Ring. I just can't believe I'm absorbing stuff I want to look at. Because
I don't really want to watch it because you're going to see some like I had a hard time watching Jake the Snake podcast with Joe Rogan. That really bothered me, and how he had so many problems, and then he talked about him and how much he was doing, steroids and drugs and is still wrestling, and like Vince didn't take care of him. And even to this point that people donated money just to get his teeth fixed, just to get him.
Right, there's no healthcare, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's the original.
They have some healthcare, but Vince wasn't taking care of the old school wrestlers. He wasn't taking care of. He was taking care of some, but he wasn't really taking care of a lot of them. And so it was very hard for me to watch that.
Or I saw the movie The Wrestler, just like that.
Yeah, because they're all independent contractors,
right?
And
that's
so they
what
have to rely on their own thing. Yeah. And the last thing promoters want is for wrestlers to get unionized. Because if wrestlers get unionized, then they can start like demanding certain days off, demanding a lighter work schedule.
Like, I mean, they all have broken ligaments and stuff, right? Like, I mean, it really comes down to healthcare. There's a reason I think like Trump was on WrestleMania so much. Like they understand the world in the same sort of way.
Well,
that's not to say that there's bad, but
remember, Rocha, they didn't have guaranteed contracts, and when Kevin Nash and Scott Hall went to WCW and they got guaranteed contracts. That wasn't just because they went over there. That was the big reason they went over there, and that started a lot of that pissed Vince off a lot because of that.
Well, he couldn't match it, and he said, "I can't give you this because if I give you a guaranteed contract, I give the other guy guaranteed contract. I'm going to get everybody guaranteed contracts, and I don't want to be caught in that situation." But that's the way Vince runs things. Vince likes to keep everybody under his thumb and get them all scared about, that they're going to lose their jobs at any day. Trust me, I just recently worked for someone exactly like that who likes to play with your mind and mess with you and make you feel like he's going to fire you at any moment. And so I know what it's like to rule in that way, and it sucks.
Can I tell you something? I worked for Jared Kushner, as I said, for many years, and I think that employment experience you're mentioning was worse.
Yeah, exactly. And here's the deal: someone tweeted about them working for Jared Kushner, someone we know, and I almost retweeted saying, "Hey, pal, you probably are still working for that guy, if you know what I mean." But I didn't want to do that. I've been drinking wine. So anyway, Shug, anything else you got to say? I'm a little toasted.
No, I gotta get to bed because I gotta be at work in the morning. So you guys have a great night.
On a Saturday,
Video Drew.
14?
Yeah, that's the life of a father. So Video Drew, definitely, that's what we got to set up is a Patreon to have you watch some UFC fights and see someone get beat up and their heads.
You silly billies. Like people, you have to go to real work, and like people are gonna like pay money to watch me watch people get beat up. These silly billies,
right?
Okay, absolutely.
I hope to make it on the internet one day. You guys have
you are on the internet right now. Bro.
Yeah, we're all.
I'm not the main attraction. No, it's you guys. But thank you for having me, John. I will talk to you later, Drew. You stay great like always, and thank you very much for the entertainment, you guys.
Thanks, Shug.
Respect, Shug. Go. Hope you have a good day tomorrow, man. Love you. Do we have any Streamlabs? JJ Winward says, "Fuck Brigadoon," straight up. All right, cool. All right,
wait, no, that's a line from Beetlejuice the musical. That's a line from Beetlejuice. Oh. Yeah, they stopped the musical and like Beetlejuice is like, no, but like actually, fuck Brigadoon. Like fuck Brigadoon. It's very good rap, deep cut, great.
Yeah,
I love it.
Watch Dark Side of the Ring, New Jack. Yeah, I just did. We did a review of it for my Strong Style show, so you guys should watch that review as well. Let's move on to RPJ. RJP 150 is waiting to talk to us. Dude, what's up? You've been waiting a while. Thank you, dude.
Guys. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how are you?
Hi, Drew. Hey, John. So, coming in from you from Dallas.
Oh,
Dallas is not quite LA level yet. I'm still working because I'm essential. I sell booze, so booze is essential. But
that's one of the big things, right? Booze is essential, like that. Everyone.
Well, I got my rum and Coke right here. So and I guess Rocha's got his wine going on.
I got my wine, son.
I forgot to get a drink. I just told him before the show started. I was like, I'll just take a bunch of pills. I'll just do like normal. Take a bunch of pills. Handful. Why not?
You can do that. I got melatonin in my bathroom to help me sleep if I need it. But
right
okay. Yeah. No, I'm gonna need something a little stronger than that, dog. But thanks. Our friend Robert Adams and Chris Adams from the Cinephiles are in Dallas right now. We did a quiz Gremlins 2. Was the Gremlins 2 that was yesterday?
The Cinefanatics. The Cinefanatics.
Sorry. The Cinephiles.
My show.
Yes, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Please, yes. Cinefanatics, Robert Evans and Chris Evans. I believe we were doing the Gremlins 2 podcast yesterday, and he was coughing a lot. We were making sure because he also still has to go out, but he said it was allergies.
When you cough in person now, everyone looks at you weird. So
oh yeah,
you got
looks at you weird. I mean, people should be backing the fuck up. Like, yeah.
Well, yeah. So I work in the liquor industry, and I was with all the boxes and all the stuff I deal with at these stores now. If I sneeze with like the dusty boxes and stuff, they're like,
oh,
they look at you like a cat. And they're like, you're dirty. Don't look at me. So
the funniest thing is when it happens on podcasts. Like I was doing a podcast with Alex Mack from we have a new not to plug, but we have a new show called Cinema Bias where we
please plug. Yeah.
So we have a new show where like I made her watch Videodrome. She made me watch Josie and the Pussycats, and we actually like go into like deep themes and stuff. I'm making her watch Cube next because that's one of my favorite movies. That, like we never. About.
Cube is great.
Cube is great. Thank you. Cube is a fantastic film, and there's so much interesting history behind how it was made and like how they divvied up that Canadian grant money they got for it. Most of it was spent on a mathematician. Yeah.
Cube and Following were around the same time, and I liked Cube way more than Following. Mm-hmm. So the Nolan film. So yeah, I always thought Cube got the short end of the stick on that one.
Really good. Have you ever seen Haunter?
Yeah.
It's the Abigail Breslin one that he did.
Haunter?
It's on Netflix.
No,
it's called Haunter. It's almost like that. It's kind of like a Beetlejuice kind of thing. It's a family trapped in a house. It's not a spoiler to say that they're dead, but it's everything that happens post that is like very much like trap, like just sort of a time loop kind of concept, but like trying to solve a murder mystery within a time loop. It's really good.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's real good. Yeah.
What's your question, RJP?
I just want to say, hey man, I mean, I love you guys, hopefully things get back to normal and I can catch you in Houston. I know it's a little 3 hours south of here, but I hope to catch you. I'm actually from Florida originally, so I'm a UCF Knight, so don't hate me too much. But
I don't hate you guys. You guys are great. We hate the Gators.
Well,
that's
we're
what we
great
hate. We don't hate the UCF.
Gators.
We're great now. We didn't used to be great when I was there, but we have. But no, I love you guys, and I just want to send you some love. And if Ellis is still watching, remember Wild Stallions hat and Jack in the Box tacos in St. Louis. If he's watching, he'll know what that means. But I love you guys. Have a great time and keep safe and be healthy, and we'll do what we can.
Yeah, man. You too, dude. Thanks for doing what you do. I know it's booze and all that shit, but you're working and that matters, and you're out there helping people.
One thing that I'm not doing now, though. Well, the one thing I'm not doing now is I'm also a musician, and I have no gigs. I got no venues. I got no bars. I got no clubs. So when I'm not doing my other job, I got nowhere to play.
Well, I feel like a lot of people are spending their time like doing virtual like stuff and I know a lot of comedians are doing virtual gigs, and I know a lot of people are spending this time in a way that makes me feel guilty, like learning, like teaching themselves like Vinny Mancuso, the Butcher Boys, had a really long Twitter thread being like, why do I have to feel bad that during a national pandemic I am not teaching myself synth? Like, he's like, but I do. I just feel guilty. Like, I'm sitting here watching movies and not like, why do I have to teach myself like the mandolin? Like, it's really funny.
Yeah, I mean, I've considered talking to my other. I'm in 2 different bands. We're a party band, cover band, weddings, private events, stuff like that. We're considering the idea of live streaming, maybe like a thing, like doing like a Streamlabs thing or something with like, hey, donations, like, hey, we request this song and doing something like that. We'll see. I don't know, but we're kind of spread out through the Metroplex.
Well, Video Drew needs a musical intro, so like definitely.
Well, I'll consider what I can do. I play 3 or 4 instruments, so I'll see what I can come up with.
Let's talk about it.
Awesome. All right. No, thanks, dude. I appreciate it, brother. Good to see you, and thanks for chiming in, brother.
You too, guys.
Thank you.
Stay safe, man.
Oh, what I was gonna say about the Alex Max thing though is I was eating a fry and I started coughing because it went down the wrong pipe. But then I went from coughing to like my face was like turning purple like during a stream.
Whoa.
And like they were like backing up and I was like, I don't really know. It was this moment of pure terror of like, oh, I'm gonna die exactly like I thought I was gonna die, which is stupidly during a pandemic, but not of the thing. Like that, like just that one chapter of The Stand just dedicated to the real like heroes who died by like accidentally locking themselves in a refrigerator or falling down like a flight of steps during a pandemic. That's
or slipping out of the shower.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I was choking to death on a fry in a live stream. It's gonna happen.
Brilliant.
Like,
I gotta see that.
Calling it.
Sean Barreto, what's up, dude? How you doing, man?
What's up, man?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. Good to see your face a little bit, at least.
Yeah, I know. I'm in the process of doing some stuff, so I just wanted to chime in to say, like I was telling you before, John, I'm a big fan, and I'm a big fan of Video Drew. I'm actually on our Patreon as well.
Hell yeah, man! Hell yeah! I saw that happen.
Yeah, looking forward to helping you guys out in any way you need. But my question for you, John, is now that we actually have a date for Black Widow, do you think that because they moved everything back, that something in Black Widow actually moves the MCU going forward in Phase 4? That's what I think.
I think that's a good question, Sean. I don't know necessarily if that is the truth, but because I think they're moving everything back because of the coronavirus, because they think we can't keep everything on schedule now because all the films will fall on top of each other and then we'll sacrifice box office overall for all the films. So you got to space them out. That's my opinion. But certainly, Sean, your theory could make sense as well, that they have something in those closing credits or something that happens in that movie that relates to Eternals and relates to Doctor Strange 2 and relates to the Disney Plus shows that are coming from all the super stuff. That's certainly absolutely possible. We had heard rumblings that Black Widow wasn't that tied into the MCU, but you could look at this like essentially like 7 files moved into one folder. You could look at the way they did this as like, this is important. Yeah, exactly. You could. I
mean, because that's what I think. I think because you could easily just move Black Widow and put her somewhere else, and then keep the schedule as it was. But because they moved everything back, I think there's either a scene or scenes maybe in the middle or towards the end of Black Widow that kind of push the movies forward. So
that's the only thing actually that would make sense about what's keeping New Mutants. That's the only thing that would make sense about. There must be something that ties it into some to some X-Men thing that has not happened yet, or not New Mutants. Whatever the mutant movies. Like why not just freaking release it or VOD it? At this point, it's like lost to time.
Yeah, I've seen this argument before. Black Widow was set between Civil War and Infinity War. It is, but that doesn't mean the stuff that's presented in the movie doesn't come back later in the timeline to be something that they reference in the current movie. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And then, for Video Drew, I have some TV show ideas for you that you should be watching.
Oh hell yeah, give it to me.
Oh shit.
Have you ever watched 6 Feet Under?
I wrote a whole essay for Salon called "How 6 Feet Under Saved My Life."
I figured you would like. I figured you would like that.
I love it.
Watch
beautiful show. One of my favorites. I've forgotten that to even think about recently. Beautiful show. Really,
one of the greatest series finales ever. Go ahead. Yep.
I think it's the best series finale of all time.
Wow.
I will argue anyone about that. Have you watched Seinfeld and Curb Your Enthusiasm?
I love Seinfeld. Curbed is hard to watch the way that watching Schmodown for anything other than the questions is hard for me to watch, or like watching the rundown or backstage, in the sense that I don't like, or the news. I don't like unscripted fighting. I feel like it's like bad improv. Like you're watching everyone saying no but instead of yes and and it's like it's really cringy. And Curbed is kind of like that too. You can ask Eric, like, anytime I watch something, even if it's something that it is scripted, like, or that it is in the story word, if it comes off as like confrontational, I know it's ironic, like coming from me, but like confrontation is like my kryptonite. Like I get real cringed up. So Curbed specifically with his whole thing about like, he's just, that narrative of self, I find is probably as problematic or like as cringy as you found Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Like, I'm like, how can this guy believe that he's an affable person when everyone that he runs into thinks he's a dickweed? Like, how is he existing in this universe?
You mean Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, where he doesn't realize that he's the center of it, but he doesn't realize how bad he is? Yeah.
It's like the kind of thing.
Yeah. And I agree with you. I think that for me, I have found myself in situations like him. And so to me, that's why the show, I love Curb Your Enthusiasm, because I'm watching a version of myself in an alternate universe going through that shit. I mean, when he tried to take that golf club, see, and I totally understand that. When he tried to take that golf club out of the casket when his friend died, I was I've done that. I've totally done that.
You've done that?
Oh yeah.
I don't want to be like
I've
the
absolutely
other
tried. After a friend has died, I absolutely went back and got my stuff. Yeah, I absolutely did.
What?
I actually did. Good.
John, have you been watching did you watch the last season that just came out?
I'm 2 episodes away from finishing because I know it finished. I haven't found the time, and I'll probably maybe on Sunday I'll watch the last 2 episodes and laugh my ass off because this season has been next level. This season's been fantastic.
The first episode was like, I think, one of the best Curbs ever. Period.
Yes. Yeah.
And also, John, don't take shots at New Yorkers. I'm a New Yorker too, living in LA. Don't take shots at New Yorkers. I don't like that.
Yeah,
I don't like that,
bro.
I can't tell. Is Larry David like? Do we psychic? I feel like he psychically is, or like, you know, he is a New Yorker because Seinfeld is such a New York show. But also the way he is New York, and he just the way Curbed works is that it's a New York person. This is how everyone in LA related to me. It was like my energy was wrong. I wasn't trying to be a dick or too much or intense. But people kept acting towards me like I was doing something highly offensive, and I was like, and it's just New York energy.
Yes, absolutely.
I was accused of being a New Yorker for the first 10 years I lived in Los Angeles.
You seem very New York.
Yeah, I am a New Yorker. Like by intrinsic nature, I feel like a New Yorker from the East Coast.
You would do very well there.
I think no problem.
I think you would
well
too,
there.
John.
Yeah.
I think we can
I know.
announce you like as a New Yorker, even if you've never lived there.
Yeah, we're shared universe style. Like we can call you one of ours. I'd call you one of ours.
Yeah, sure.
We'll go to Marie's Crisis and go sing musicals like around a piano bar with all the people from Broadway. Like,
and only a New Yorker can do that. Yeah. Only a New Yorker can give you that praise. So
you gave me the blessing.
And I'm a man. I love musicals too. I don't see what the problem with loving musicals. What's wrong with musicals?
No, I love this, man. This is a new title of the show. It's called Real Men Love Musicals. Real Outlaws Love Musicals.
What's wrong with musicals? Like the first musical I ever went to was The Producers. I love that, and I love Mary Poppins and all the Disney stuff. So what's wrong?
Shit.
Nothing wrong with a good musical. Nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, respect.
There's nothing wrong with good musical.
One of my favorite moments ever in my life with my dad was taking him to see The Producers on Broadway with my mom. That was because my dad is, he's born in the small town of Bolivia in Cochabamba. Him going to see a musical on Broadway, my dad was very much a man's man. I didn't know if he would like it. He loved the shit out of that show, and the whole Nazi stuff drove him insane. Like how much he was loving it.
I know we talked about Roger Bart last time, but was he Roger Bart in the cast? Yeah. Oh god, that's so good.
Roger Bart was yeah. It was so great. I want to play Roger DeVries one day. I would love to play that part. That's funny little part. So
we were so obsessed. My family was so obsessed with the original musical that like I feel like we kind of missed out on when it became a movie and then became a Broadway show again because my mom was such a huge Gene Wilder. She used to like date Gene Wilder's cousin. That's a weird mom name drop, but like so like Zero Mostel and like Gene Wilder were like her people. So she, so Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick, while great, like I never really got into that musical because we just knew it. Yeah, we just kind of knew the original.
Don't watch the movie version. The movie version is not good. The original one on stage is good. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I went to see it and I took my mom and then we did like the whole like going out to dinner and all that kind of stuff. So it was a great time. Like. And then my 3 favorite bands are Coldplay, the Beatles, and Boyz II Men.
Okay.
Don't trust people.
Is Boyz II Men? Wait, is Boyz II Men a band or a musical act? There's a difference. They don't play instruments.
Great question.
I would say they're a band. They're a group.
All right. right.
It's kind of like, it's like a One Direction. Are they really a band, or are they like a collection of there's like Scooter Braun's collection of mechanized things. I don't know. I don't have an answer.
There BTS. She goes judging again.
I'm not judging. I'm saying BTS is more musical theater than it is like a band who's spontaneously doing things, right? I mean,
fair enough.
She's just voicing her opinion. John, New Yorkers like to do.
Yep.
We like giving our.
I'm actually asking. I don't see enough.
That's why we do the show together.
Yeah, right. I don't see enough live shows to understand that if there's a lot of choreographed dancing, it's more musical theater than it is like something like a band. Is that weird to say?
I mean,
I don't think so.
In award shows, didn't they go group / band? So I mean, I think it could work either way.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I know like people like Britney and Madonna. They have. But I consider them like more musical, Madonna's Evita. Like they could, these people are trained like the musical theater is trained. Yeah, it's a show. It's a performance.
Madonna's
a show.
She's like a chameleon. She just changes with the times.
But you can always catch her.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say Madonna? She just changes with the times. Like I don't know what a true identity is. Because if you look at her in the 80s, 90s. 2000s, she's like,
but no, you can check the arms. Different. You can always check the arms. She has these crazy ass biceps, and like you could, it's like the one little chameleon trick that you can always tell. Like her mystique reveal is like if you check out the biceps, it's Madonna.
That's true.
Larry Leese, such a main person. All right, Sean, we got to go. We got 10 minutes left in the show. I got to get to 2 more people. I love you, man. Thanks for chiming in.
Thanks, Sean. Thank you.
Have a good night. Have a good night, guys.
Respect to New York. Respect to New York, brother. Thank you.
Man, and all my fucking hopes and prayers to New York, man. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
I can't go back home. I'm like I'm a refugee right now from New York. I can't get my stuff. I can't have my stuff sent. Like, I can't see my sister. Wow. It's brutal. Yeah.
Right there, J Dog. What's up, Jay?
Hey, Jay.
Good evening.
Yeah. Okay, and good night.
That's right. I'm going to try the video. Yeah. I'm going to try the Zoom conference WrestleMania style the next 2 nights with a couple of friends. We'll see if it's a complete train wreck. I think it will be, or it'll go on without a hitch. Although you got to remember it's taped, so they can do all kinds of production values or whatever with it. So I mean. There's that, but it's not live. And
what is this?
I was supposed to be in Tampa.
WrestleMania's on Zoom?
No,
they're watching it live stream.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
I was like, Twitch go to YouTube?
Okay. Shh, don't tell Vince.
Oh my God.
I was supposed to be in Tampa this weekend.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be in Tampa at my best friend's house, as I've told you before, Rocha. I was supposed to be in Tampa at my buddy's house, and we were going to spend the weekend, like NXT TakeOver and all kinds of wrestling stuff. And if the Schmodown was to happen in Tampa, I know, but it didn't. But
oh my God. The Schmodown stuff, I finally get why sports people are so upset about all these seasons being delayed, because I'm like, we're like, no, does that mean our score doesn't count? Like, what's happening? I'm like, come on, like, let's get some. Like, also, we know we're stuck here for a while, but like, let's get some new stuff. I can't stand it.
Also, Drew, a lot of these guys have like qualifiers in their contract that when they hit a certain level of stats in their play, they get paid millions or an extra like all of that. You have to factor in, are they still going to get paid or not going to get paid? All that gets worked out, and they get upset about that as well. So there's a lot that goes into it. It's not just playing the games. There's so much more that's about the sports situation.
I'm not as much as like crying over the people who are going to get more or less millions. I'm more like from the fan perspective. It's super fucking frustrating to be like, is this season going to count? Like, is the Bandits record not going to count because if we don't get to finish the season, like he's killing
the
it,
Schmodown. No, I think it'll count. I think that'll count. But I don't think I think those will count because it's different because this isn't a season that's leading to anything. I just don't think a faction will win. Yeah, and I don't think a faction will be the winner of the season. I think they'll push
good
next
news.
year if these things go. Yeah. But our points are going to carry over. Let me let you know now. Our points are going to carry over. No spoilers about today. The other thing you were bringing up, Jay, real quick before we run on to the next person. What were you just mentioning at the beginning of this? Oh, yeah. So I want to plug this. I just found this out today. The Store Horseman podcast, which my friend Chris Burns hosts with a bunch of other people. They reached out to me and they asked me if I would host a live watch along of WrestleMania for Sunday. So we're going to do that. Right now, we're negotiating with Raven, the former wrestler Raven, and Mark Henry to come on the stream to watch with us all the matches and react to it. So that's going to be fun.
Can we do like some sort of like infinite mirrors where I'm reacting to you guys is reacting to the
You can do whatever you want on your channel, Drew. We are going to be doing a watch along on my channel. And
we're going to watch along your watch along.
Feel free. Yeah, please feel free. So it's going to be nuts, and I'm excited. We're going to announce it tomorrow. We'll set it up. Yeah, well, it'll be on my channel. So just wait till I announce it on my YouTube channel. So it'll be there. If there. So it'll be fun. So we'll be doing the watch along too, Jay. Respect.
Awesome. Okay, before I go, I wanted to ask you guys, with all the downtime you guys have had, I know, Video Drew, you've been doing kind of quasi-practicing with some of the movie trivia schmodown, because you did Ninja Turtles last night, the 3 movies.
That's what it was, Ninja Turtles. I couldn't even remember the movie. I thought it was Gremlins 2.
The Ninja Turtles trilogy, and I'll ask this to you, Rocha, as well. How much time are you devoting to more practice with the availability of your time to the movie trivia schmodown?
LOL. Okay, so here's the deal. I've been unemployed for like almost a year now with nothing to do except practice for the Schmodown. And all I've done is spent my time like in the Schmodown, like in the Schmodown universe as Video Drew. How much time have I spent practicing? Very low. Like how many movies have I how many note cards have I made? How many matches have I've only started watching matches very recently. It's like it's almost like I don't care about winning, except to the point that like I want to be in this world and continue to be on it. Like and then I do get competitive that way because I'm like I don't want to like get knocked out or like I don't want to bring another partner down. But I think I've gotten way better at it, and I always undersell myself. So maybe some of it's sour grapes because I'm like I'm never going to be the best. So like why bother studying? I will say I've gotten pretty competitive about it. I've gotten really competitive about the way I write the questions, and I have like a newfound respect for like PJ and Chris Gillespie because it is so hard to write a question that is both like clever and like not obvious, and that it has multiple choice options that are clever and don't give it away. And it's like it's hard to show flash or like pizzazz or like style as a question writer, and I just that's what I like. That's something I think I strive more towards than actually practicing to be good at Schmodown. I want to practice to be a good question writer.
I think for me, until we find out when these matches are coming back, I'm not going to be able to fully dedicate to practicing. So right now, most of my focus has been the channel. And so I haven't necessarily spent a lot of hours studying necessarily because I don't see it coming down the road, nor do I see Christian going like, okay, the match is in 2 weeks. Like I think it'll be months down the road before we finally solidify this thing. And once we do, then I'll have a timetable to start studying again. But that doesn't mean I haven't been randomly taking quizzes every once in a while or going on an hour-long run of quizzes online to kind of get myself still sharp. I've been rewatching a lot of the old Schmodown matches.
Yes,
that I have been doing and playing along, and that keeps me sharp for sure. Just rewatched my Action Army versus Top 10 second match, and that was fun to rewatch that again because I might be doing a watch along with that with Ben and Andrew on their stream down the road. So yeah, that's what I've been doing more than anything else.
Okay, the brain is a muscle. You got to exercise it. So
yeah, we got to exercise it. I will say that, and not to do another plug, but on the Video Chronic, our quizzes that we do, we're doing we're not to separate ourselves. We're not trivia. We're deep cuts of like movie, intertextual stuff. But we're also not just movies. So we're doing one for The Office. And like, I'm not going to be involved with the questions of that at all because I want to play and I want to play late to the party and I want to play the bandit and I want to win. Like I'm there to win that Office game. Yeah. Like
I respect
it. Hardcore.
All right, Jay. Thanks so much, dude. It's always good to see you, brother, man.
Take care, guys.
Take care. All right. We're going to bring the last person. Got to wrap up. We have 2 hours, Drew.
Oh, wow.
I got a girlfriend waiting for me. I know you got all night. I got a girlfriend waiting for me. I got to go. Right here. There he is. Jay Yacob.
Oh,
hey, Jake, what's going on, Jake?
Oh, Mr. 2 weeks ago wasn't going to appear on camera.
Okay, I'm not muted anymore. No, I just wanted to come on to give your stream some credibility.
Oh, that's why I'm here.
No, I'm just fucking with you. Drew, definitely you need to fuck Ben Goddard up in that trivia.
Oh God,
I'm glad you finished that sentence correctly.
Thank you, God. My face did you watch my face just fall?
Well, I'm gonna fuck him up in some Boondock Saints trivia too. So
someone needs to knock him down a peg.
I hate that you haven't been able to see your sister. Your sister is awesome. It was great hanging out with her in New York.
It's tough. she doesn't really want to talk right now. Like it's not to get too personal, but she doesn't want to talk about it or talk right now. So I've been reaching out, and I get really scared because it'll be like her voicemail box is full, and she just doesn't want to. I don't think she understands how like terrifying that is. Just someone out there, but yeah, it's scary. It sucks, but I know my parents are occasionally in contact with her, and hopefully all my stuff is there. So it's really hard for me to conceive of like me not going back there at some point, and at least and she's so. I appreciate you saying that, Jake. You really turned us on to pineapple and ham pizza. That's something that will forever be changed.
Pineapple power.
Yeah, pineapple
fucking
power.
Communist. That shit's ridiculous.
You shut the fuck up, John.
Show your pineapple tattoo.
Don't you shut us up on my stream, motherfucker.
All right. Well, I did have a question.
Okay.
Yeah, what's up?
I've been catching up on the Broken Skull sessions. So
Steve
last
Austin's,
night, last night I just watched the one with the Undertaker, and I didn't realize that Steve Austin had never actually beaten the Undertaker in like a big main event.
Yeah.
So if that was to happen, like if there was going to be a big event where Steve Austin was going to go over on the Undertaker, which one do you think it should have been?
What do you mean? Which WrestleMania, or who should have won?
Just any hypothetical where they would have faced each other.
How do you determine if it's fake?
Where do you think that Stone Cold should have gone over on the Undertaker?
It should have been at a WrestleMania, and it should have been when the streak was getting really, really high. It should have never gone to Lesnar. I think it should have gone to.
You think he should have beat the streak? I think the streak should have never been ended at all. Period.
No. I know. I'm an old school wrestling guy, and the thing is, no one is above the business. No one. And so you have to hang that loss on Undertaker at some point down the road, or else he is elevated past the business. And I don't think he's a lifer too. He gets it, and so that's why he took that loss to Lesnar. I think Stone Cold could have broken that streak himself if he had stayed in wrestling long enough, because Lord knows Shawn Michaels was around the same time as Stone Cold, and he gave him two hell of a match. So if Stone Cold hadn't gotten hurt, he would have given Undertaker a hell of a match as well around that same time, and maybe even beat him and broke that streak.
But I thought it was all fake.
Anyone deserves
I don't understand. This is where wrestling confuses me. But if it's all predetermined, because if it's all predetermined,
movies are fake. Movies are fake. TV shows are fake.
But movies don't fight each other.
Musicals are fake.
Yeah, but they don't fight each other. But not like the way Schmodown is a sport. How do you say take him to run towards money, or like do this to that when it's all predetermined?
Well, it's predetermined based on public reaction and also status and your popularity and your history in the game. So that's how they negotiate that. I get your basic point, Drew. Absolutely, the fact that anybody can beat anybody. They just write it in the script. I get that, but it's more a matter of like.
Confused.
No, absolutely, and it's like a movie or a TV show, a long-running character, or like in Game of Thrones, right? All of a sudden, she's going to be stupid in love with Jon Snow right at the end, and he's going to like do whatever he does, and we're not no spoilers. And you're like, that doesn't make sense. That's not kid. That character doesn't make sense that character would do that.
Like
that's kind of how wrestling is.
Yeah, so it's more like when you're talking about it, it's like, I can understand that. So it's like with the Undertaker,
it was 100% driven by how much of a fan reaction people were getting, what people were wanting. If someone was getting tired of a character, then they needed to be done. This was at a point where they were both at their peaks, and nobody wanted either one of them to be done. But at the same time, Stone Cold was the one who revitalized the business.
Yes.
And for the fact that he never got over on the Undertaker, like that kind of fucked me up, because I never realized it even watching it back then. But I feel like that was something that should have happened at some point.
Yeah.
I'm now realizing that I might like wrestling more than I like Schmodown, like just in concept at least. I'm like, so it's based on popularity and how much the fans love you. Well, then fuck.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
That's Okay. It absolutely is. It absolutely is not random at all. Yeah,
you don't have to be good at trivia or like the best at something. Well, then hell.
I mean, why do you think fucking Makuga went over so much? He wasn't the best at trivia. He was a character that people loved and they wanted to keep seeing.
Before Drew, there was Makuga.
That's a good point.
And after Drew, there'll be someone else who's just had that vein of character over accomplishment that matters.
Yeah.
Also, one more thing for you right there. Read that, Jake. Read that.
You were not. I'm impartial. I am part of Call to Action. I do not get a vote. I don't have.
You just read that. I just want you to fucking read.
I forget like who won the debate.
Read, Rocha.
Because that son of a bitch did not beat me in that debate. I don't care what that long one did, but son of a bitch tells himself. I beat him in that debate.
I mean, I'm not. You got to take that up to Alex. I ain't got shit to do with that.
Man, this is between y'all. My name is Paul. It's between y'all.
No,
all right, I gotta wrap up.
Your name is Saul, and it's between y'all. I saw Saul in the chat. He still wants to talk to you after hanging up on him the other night.
Oh yeah, I don't know if I hung up on him. He just wandered around saying weird shit. So I had hung up on him. I didn't know what he was doing.
I think Saul's high on paint fumes or something. I got real work phone call from him too recently. Wait, what is?
There's Denuzio. He's just mad I didn't mention Ed Harris in my arguments.
Yeah, he's over there sucking Ed Harris's balls. He don't know what he's talking about. So.
He wants a sequel to Pollock. He wants that son of a bitch is such a fucking hardcore.
Oh, for the picture.
All right, well, I'll let y'all finish up.
All right, Jake. Take care, brother, man. Good
Thank
to see you.
Thanks for the
overlay. Yeah, overlay you
no
do
problem.
And everything. All of it, brother. Thank you.
No problem.
Jake Yacovetta, one of the best in the business. All right, Drew, I gotta go.
Okay, probably me too. Let's pretend me too.
Yeah. We had so many subjects we didn't even come close to get to, but we'll get to them next week maybe. But it's good to have ideas and plans and possibilities, but we didn't get to them. Please plug everything you got, Drew. Everything.
Okay, yeah. So I'm like Video Drew at Video Drew, like everything. So like Patreon / Video Drew on YouTube. I've got these Video Chronic shows where me and Nerd Chronic do these deep dives, like 20 questions about one film or one franchise or one series, and we bring on guests. So that's been sort of like the main thing. I also want to give a shout out to Video Chronic. Eric's he started his own Patreon where we do movie commentary, like director movie commentaries, but we're not the directors. So just regular movie commentaries. We did Sucker Punch. We have Cats coming out. So that's over on his Patreon. You can find me also. My one-stop shop is videodrew.club, which is my pro Streamlabs account. But I should have just kept it with the regular domain name because no one understands that it's a Streamlabs account and that's where they can pay me money. So like videodrew.club, just go there and give me money. Or, find another way to do that. Yeah. And otherwise, I'm just around. Yeah. Just hit me up. Please have me on your podcast.
Yeah, there you go. And just get her buy her another computer. Why not?
She's got 3. Get her 4th computers. No underwear, just stacks of computers this high.
I don't know. I can't get anybody to buy me a mouse, and you got 3 computers. That's incredible. All right, well, thanks. Please follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. And of course, please subscribe to this Outlaw Nation YouTube channel down below there. Really appreciate it. There's like 5 of you that subscribed tonight. Thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. It means a lot to me personally. We're trying to get over that 20,000 subscriptions subscribers rather. And then please follow me on the Instagram and on Twitter. Trying to get above 20,000 on Instagram. Trying to get above 35,000 on Twitter. That would mean so much to me. So love to all of you. Please stay safe and healthy and take care of yourselves this weekend. Wash your hands. Get away from the weird Target Walking Dead. If you see them coming for you, do whatever you need to do. Put the masks on. All that shit. You can make fun of it. You can bash it, but doesn't mean you can't also be very self-aware and be very careful out there. So please be healthy.
I will plug one last thing, and that is the stars of Contagion. Matt Damon, Kate Winslet, and Lawrence Fishburne did a PSA in conjunction with Columbia University about ways to. It literally is so effective because everyone's just watched Contagion, and it's like Matt Damon being like, "Hey, here's how you stay 6 feet away from people," and it's Kate Winslet being like, "Here's how you wash your hands for 20 seconds." Swear to God, it's the most effective thing I've seen since this quarantine began. Was having the stars of Contagion tell me how to wash my hands. Just watch that. Perfect. Yeah.
I dropped so much stuff today. New Cinephiles dropped. If you haven't listened to that, that's in the description as well. You go listen to. We talk about Hunt for Red October. The new Geek Buddies. We reviewed Tiger King. We dropped our review of Tiger King, that Netflix documentary, which was awesome. Which we probably didn't even talk. We should have talked about. And I've also got the top 10 show that dropped this week. So much happening. That's
I'm gonna watch it on WrestleMania. Like that. Watch you do that reaction. I'm gonna be there for that.
Please.
I will be in the comments.
Then I'll be posting that tomorrow sometime to let people know about it and go from there. All right. Thanks, everybody. Much love to all of you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, John.
Drew, I'm the Outlaw. Thank you, Video, for being on here. It was a lot of fun. And we will talk to you next time on another episode of Weekend at Outlaws or Weekend at Rochas. We don't even know.
Weekend at Rochas. Bye. Bye.